Welcome to Krayt Tape, where we're going to start a series to review games and invite on one of the players to walk us through their decisions during the game from turn 0 all the way to the end of the game, win or lose. So I'm Travis Johnson. With me is Chris Allen of the Krayts, and also Andrew Lawrenson of the Calculator fame, the Gate of Storms himself. Say hi.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
And Chris is really Supreme Leader. Chris is definitely here.
Yes, Supreme Leader. That's proper title, please. Thank you.
So, I mean, the point of this video is we wanted to start going back and reflecting on matches we've already played and inviting players that have played the match to walk us through their decision making through the game, even if it's, they realize it was a mistake later. The point is to try and help newer players or other players, doesn't have to be new, understand decision making during the game, because that's probably the most important and most interesting part of the game rather than the dice rolls themselves.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to attempt here. And so we picked one of your games from GenCon, Chris, to kind of walk through and just go through different stages of the game and see what you were thinking and how you were reacting to things as the board state unfolded.
Right. So this is basically a direct response to everyone correctly going, man, for serious content, why does everyone just use podcasts? That's terrible. It's like the least useful format possible for like looking at such a visual game. So that's the idea here. And the other one is, so when you're doing commentary in an event, so like this is not a dig at Dion because Dion's running the stream and managing everything. It's hard to give like actual. So one, it's hard to find good people to do commentary because they're usually in the event, right? But two, it's hard to give it in real time because everyone's not familiar with every matchup, right? Like if someone were to ask me to do commentary on like lists pulled out of random. Actually, when people ask me to do commentary and lists pulled out of random, oftentimes it's like, what the hell am I looking at? What is this list? What does this work? Or what does this do? So
yeah, I mean, for instance, Chris, like I'm pretty unfamiliar with your first order list. Like I know what a sinker swarm is.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to that, what the list being played here is. But like, speaking of that, walk us through your first order list that you brought to Gen Con. Like just tell us about it and what you were trying to accomplish with it.
So there's not a lot of thought put into it because the lists I brought to Gen Con were literally here's my sinker swarm. And then if I decide I can't bring myself to play a sinker swarm, I'll bring something that looks decent in first order. Like SFs are generally seem too cheap for how good they are with Gunner, or seemed. Scorch is obviously good, and Kylo's pretty good. So it was like, this happens to add to about 200, so I'll just grab that and bring it.
So you basically did a counting to 200 exercise.
Yeah, right.
But specifically, you aimed it around Kylo, right? You wanted to bring Kylo, and then you're like, what stuff can I fit around him that I think is good?
Right. And the answer is basically 2 Upsilons, which I don't have room to pack. So let's bring some SFs and an FO. Not a good strategy for how to list build, by the way.
Sure.
But
I
that's
mean,
how we got there.
Sure. Cool. And then we can kind of walk through Nuckols' list. It's a very typical sinker swarm. There's basically 2 variants, but it involves bringing 4 torrents, sinker, and then the last piece can be either another I2 arc or Rick Ali.
Yep. And then
in this case, Nuckols brought Rick Ali, but that's basically the gist.
And that's some of things. So that 4v19 sinker and Rick is 196. It's exactly the same if you bring an arc instead of Rick. So you have the options of a hull or shield upgrade on Sinker, R2 Astromech on Rick. You can bring like Predator. So there's a couple different ways to go. He went with the R2 Astromech on Rick, which is by far the most common.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you brought 3. I was gonna say 3 big rocks, but I see one of your rocks looks like a medium rock. So you
look, I lost my other big rock, Travis. Okay.
So your goal was to get 3 big rocks. Okay.
And if I'm gonna have to bring a medium rock, it's gonna be the middle finger.
Sure. So walk us through why you would want rocks for your list.
Yeah. So the secret is the ISF is so good because of the rear arc, and because the rear arc, you can not entirely ignore obstacles, not as in like fly over them, but if you're in an engagement with somebody and there's kind of a rock in the way, you can just kind of 2-turn in front of it sideways, so you're now perpendicular to your opponent you were facing, and then they have to go past the rock on the left or the right of you, which is either in the front or back, and you're going to shoot them and they're not going to shoot you. Like basically the rear
you
arc
could turn away from a rock and still be shooting, where they turn away from rock and are at least 50% of the time not shooting.
Right. And rocks make it harder for things to get away from Kylo, generally. But they're mostly there for the SFs.
Nuckols isn't here, but we picked a list that's a bit more well worn from a knowledge perspective. The Sinker Swarm bought gas clouds because they want to absolutely ignore the obstacles in the middle. They want to joust, they want to enforce a joust, and it's easier to force joust when they can ignore rocks, obstacles in general. So I mean that's why I brought 3 gas clouds. So knowing that, let's take a look at. So you now know what he's playing. So you sit down in your match, and I want you to kind of reflect back on what you were thinking at the time. And we'll go over what you learned after the match. But right now, try and think back. Okay, you got your round called. You know who you're paired against. You see his list. You're like, all right, I'm playing against a Sinker Swarm. What do you think your strategy here is? What's your path to victory in general, as a broad statement? What are you looking to do here?
So actually, I get to cheat on this a little bit because I played this exact matchup, except I was the Sinker Swarm the night before against Ryan in a Hangar Bay, who was just like, do we have a list I can borrow? I was like, yeah, I do. Check this out. So he actually played the first order there, and so we played this exact game. So I knew that it was more or less impossible to keep Sinker and the V19s to have like real uptime against SFs that didn't want to be shot at moving last. So my plan going in is, well, I'll just kill as many V19s as I can. Sinker's worthless by themselves, and Rick moving before Kylo is not a real threat. What's interesting is both the V19s and the SFs are I2. So I might have been better off taking initiative just to block up V19s. I don't think that's the case, but I'd have to try it a few times to confidently say that.
That's an interesting perspective. It makes me think back of the Rebel Beef matchups where blocking the list was very useful. However, I'm not sure that's clear cut in the Sinker Swarm because they still get mods. They still get a form of modification where if you were just jamming them up for all their focuses, I think it's a slam dunk that you want to block it. You still might want to block it, but I don't think it's obvious that you do. So I'm not sure that that's an obvious decision even now, let alone on the table. So
yeah, I think it's still better to let them move first because blocking V19's a very not big deal. Like you said, it's still going to usually roll 2 hits, and it doesn't care about his defense at all. So, yeah.
And you're also at risk of a lot of range 1 shots with 3 dice with those once you're in there blocked, blocking. All right, so what do you think your rock strategy is going to be here, right? So do you know who has initiative? We're going to find out.
Yeah, I gave it to him.
You gave it to him. Okay,
right. I want my SFs to move after them because rear arcs moving last is a good strategy.
So you know that he's placing the first thing and he doesn't want obstacles, right? That's why I brought gas clouds. So what are you thinking here?
So Andrew, you were mid-sentence.
Yeah, sorry, just on the initiative thing, I would have thought that the Rick Kylo overlap is the dominating factor.
Right, I think I agree. That's so Rick is weird because he's so outrageously comically predictable if he wants to do anything useful, especially against SFs that are really fast. That it's really easy to just kind of put something in the way of his 3-turn every turn and not really worry about it. Even if
but I mean, it's still like useful to be able to just like roll up behind and then boost in either direction.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. It's just of all the aces I don't mind moving last, Rick is the one I mind moving last the least. I still don't want it to happen.
Sure. I just feel like I would still make the decision based on that overlap.
Gotcha.
Rather than the 2 overlap, but it makes sense.
Okay, so you were talking about rock placement.
Well, yeah. So I mean, in this case, I think I don't want to project here, but I assume that you understand that he wants to ignore obstacles, right? Broadcast clouds and Sinker Swarm. So it's a little less of a projection that maybe in future videos will be a little less obvious. But what is your rock strategy? Knowing you're passing him initiative, so he's going to place first obstacle, and knowing he wants to do that. I guess what's your goal here? What are you trying to do?
The goal is get rocks in the middle of the board, and then try to force him to have gas clouds on the outside of the board. That's unless mistakes happen, that shouldn't really be a thing that can happen. I can probably get 2 rocks close to each other and try to fight around that. But yeah, I mean, we'll switch to the video and take.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's time to.
We're lucky here because we're not always going to be able to get rock placement, but here we did. So this is pretty sped up. So let me know if it's jarring to look at. But yeah, so you can see he takes a rock straight in my corner as far.
How shocking, right? And then you get your one in the middle, and he corners the other rock. Right, I mean, this is very, very predictable at this point.
I'm going to slow this down a little bit. Playback. Look at this beautiful Krayt editing. Okay, that should be a little better.
So actually, I'm curious how you feel about he cornered the rocks in your corner. Some people would corner them in their own corner because then after the joust, you don't have K-turn issues. How do you feel about that trade-off?
So the Sinker Swarm. Oh, right, here we go. We'll come back to this. So the Sinker Swarm absolutely has setup problems if there's obstacles in the way. So you can see how he put that gas cloud at like 3-3 from that corner. And I've set up a Sinker Swarm, right? I know it's a massive pain if there's an obstacle at 2-2 in both corners. So I'm gonna desperately try to get this gas cloud in the corner.
Right. And I think I agree with you, Andrew, that in theory, that's a general statement, but with the Sinker Swarm specifically, because of their setup problems, they're going to want the obstacles on the other side of the board.
Right, and you're saying because they want to roll along the edge of the board and then turn a like 3 wide formation in towards the
That and the whole sinker thing, right? Like in theory, they're the best Sinker Swarm can hope for is that Sinker also gets to shoot while enabling his friends, and that's not even always true, right? Like they're absolutely willing to have Sinker looking in the wrong direction just to turn on the mods. But I mean, the ideal scenario is that Sinker also gets to shoot that round.
Right.
Yeah, so I went ahead and circled the rocks Nuckols put down here. I'm playing against Andrew Nuckols. Curlpod Creatives, please buy his acrylic. Yeah, so I went ahead and put these rocks down. Or I circled the ones he put down, because you saw this was the first one he put down. I put this down here. Hopefully this is kind of legible.
So I have I was going to say, I have the biggest question. Go ahead and finish your third rock, right?
So there's 3.
There's 3.
Yep, this was 6.
That was 6, yeah.
And then what this was 4. Yeah.
Yep. So
I think
my question I have for you on the rocks that you got is you have a cornered gas cloud, but you're cornering it because you know Sinker Swarm has a problem, right? Like that's the reason you want that over there rather than clustered, I suspect.
Yeah, exactly.
And I noticed you still almost got your wall, as we talked about.
I did. The wall was almost fully operational.
Right. And if anyone's curious, we make a joke, but we noticed that in a lot of top tier play, we almost ended up very consistently with this diagonal wall.
Yeah.
And the reason is that makes it very hard to turn into the board, because if you look as you move down the board, right, pick any deployment and say just like start marching up the deployment.
Yeah. So if you
right
start
as you
here,
turn in, right, if you go up the board, you'll notice that when you turn into the board, it's still at a weird angle to you, meaning like if you're doing straight lines, the wall's in your way. And so banking around these things is actually kind of irritating and not easy. And it favors maneuverable ships, or like in this case with the SFs, ships that are just going to go straight and shoot anyway. But it's much harder for front arc locked ships to maintain firing without eventually having to turn away from the wall. That's why we bring it up a lot.
Yeah, although like depending on your list, if there's a very obvious wall, I don't think it's crazy to set up your list at the angle of the wall instead.
Oh no, there's
I know a lot of people aren't. Yeah, I know a lot of people aren't comfortable changing that up. So it's fair, but I think it's one of those ones where like if you look at the board and the alignment of things is clearly shifted in some like non-45-degree angle, like you're allowed to set up your list at that angle too. That's still something that you should consider doing.
Mr. Graphics Programming and his relative references. Very suspicious. We play at 45, 90-degree angles as God intended. Okay.
All right. So we have the wall here, or we have the obstacle set up. You have the best that you can really hope for is what you were looking for, because you knew what was going to happen.
There was a non-zero chance that this guy could fit here, which would have been the dream, but it just barely didn't. He set it up right. Because usually, so people set this 3-3 thing here, like, oh, they can't corner rock. Like half the time you can still do it and watch the really disappointed look on their face.
The real answer is if you don't want that there, you actually need to get a range 1 ruler out.
And the other obstacle and go make sure.
The other obstacle and make sure an obstacle doesn't fit there. Assuming that 3-3 inherently locks off an obstacle, you're going to be disappointed like half the time. All right, so you have this here.
Actually, if I could ask one follow-up question on that. Sure. Had you been able to fit the obstacle there, it is a gas cloud though, right?
Yeah.
So I assume you still would have assumed Nuckols just
would
the
totally
way and turns over it, and at most you try to rush in for an engagement and he gets 1 less action or something?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like then I could, so if this is here, right, and he chooses to set up in this corner, which would be unlikely if that fit there. But then I could just set up my stuff in a block here, like 5 straight, right?
But you would just try to force the engagement sooner because of that or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
I think when that sort of has the effect that, the gas cloud is what air quotes irrelevant, but it's almost as if you block the list for free.
Because blocked at least a couple of U19s.
Yeah, it's like a free block if you engage at that exact time. Because that's not, they're just trying to unfurl into their jousting formation, because they don't get to start in it, unlike a lot of other lists, right? So I think that's the benefit. But I agree with you. Like, it's still just a gas cloud.
Okay, so then he'll set all. I don't remember.
So So let's talk about setup, right? There's
Yep.
two things going on here. So quick pause.
Pause. I want pause and Johnson.
All right. So the only reason I bring this up is now that he has telegraphed where he's going to set up,
Yeah.
right? By doing the 3-3 rock, you're like, all right, I know exactly which corner he's going in. So that's not always true. So again, as you know that, what's your strategy here? You know where he's going to end up. You can unpause as he sets up because he sets up first. But even if he didn't set up first, you still know where he's going.
Yeah, he knows there. I was surprised to see it set up at an angle here. Like this, I was very happy to see that he was like doing these weird sideways deployments.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So I was going and watching streamed sinker games, and this is how they set up. And I tried it, and I was like, I don't like this at all because I mean, you'll see why I don't like it at all. So I was like, all right, sweet, I'm in. Like, figure out how to turn through these obstacles at my SFs, please. Yeah. So,
all right. So you chose the joust, like the direct threaten, joust threat.
Direct, right? Because if he wants to turn in here, it's going to have to be a like 2-turn. Figure out how to get all the V19s back in range of everything. Like, yeah. And the nice thing about SFs is like if something scary happens, right? They can always just all right, whatever, we're out 2-turn. Like it's fine. Yeah, he'll put sinker behind them, right? So now when everyone 2 turns, like all the range bands and everything work out just fine. Wrecked, get it together, Nuckols. And
all right.
yeah,
and what about the rest of your setup here?
Yeah. Okay. So Scorch is in the middle because so you can see I set him up here so that he like this is that's not a straight line. Wow. Let's try again. So like that is roughly a straight line. So he can like just straight 5 straight 5 straight, or he can go like if he 2 straights here, he'll be like this, and he's got so he can let's clear this out, right? So if he 2 straights from here, he'll be like I don't know something like this, right? So he's got the 2-turn open, he's got the like fast 2 through 5 straights open, and he can also just kind of leave, right? So like let's say after turn 1 he 2 straights and lands here, and all these V19s and arc like all 3 bank in here, I can be like nah, I'm out, I'm just gonna hide behind this gas cloud, and then all of these ships would be like here. And then they have to 2-turn through a gas cloud to engage him and the SFs. So that's why just like setting aside, like basically just fit him so he could go straight down the middle of the board. Because like this is one of the weird games where Scorch isn't like an air quotes ace. Like he's much better when he moves last, as it turns out. I mean, most things are, but him especially. Just because you're paying 34 points for him, he's dirt cheap. So if he's randomly the last ship moving, it's like, oh, I got like a really budget move last Pete tool here. So that's nice. So he'll set down Rick. Not at all where I was like, oh, let me do Kylo. Oh wait, just kidding. You have another ship that's an air quotes ace.
And you're just gonna leave him there because you don't care.
I was like, oh wait, just kidding. JK. And then he put it down there, and I was like, wait, what's happening? Because now, right, like now everyone's staying in formation is really complicated because if he wants to turn in.
Yeah. So did you even for a second consider putting Kylo along the bottom edge here and
like down
5
here?
straight boosting into
no, because I know he can just 2-turn everything, and we talked about the risk aversion meter, right?
Sure.
And,
I just like I mean he's not going to be super ideal setup given that. Now Kylo has a little bit of a complicated follow up to that, obviously, but
yeah, right. But so what I mean is like okay, so let's say we set Kylo. I don't want to draw on that screen. You're gonna draw on this screen. Okay, so let's say you saying set Kylo up here, right, and just like 5 straight right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So what scares me about that is if he 2-turns his whole list, it's like this ish, right? And sinker's like here.
Yep.
I've kind of just given him Kylo cornered in the bottom of the board for free. And while like I don't think it would be optimal for him to 2-turn everything again and have it facing like this.
Yep.
Like I don't have a whole lot I can do about it, or even like the banks. Like he's just gonna get to shoot Kylo.
But potentially. I'm not saying it's necessarily good, but again, given like you could potentially throw his setup there into a fair amount of chaos for the cost of you need to figure out Kylo.
How to get Kylo out of there, right? Yeah. And 2 dice shots at range 3 into Kylo are not scary. They feel scary, but they're comically low probability to do damage.
Yeah. So I have a follow-up question now. So kind of the board set, you're about to set dials. What are you thinking is your win con, right? So you see the sinker swarm, you're trying to finagle an engagement. What is the engagement you're trying to finagle? Where do you think it's going to be? Like, where do you want it to be? And what are you trying to engage? Like, I assume that you're always trying to get Kylo to an end game.
Yeah,
is
so
that fair?
At this point, right. Well, I mean, yeah, and especially in this matchup, like chasing Kylo is kind of just a waste of his time, and we both know it, right? Like even threatening it is silly. Like Kylo basically just has free range to do whatever he wants, and it's a race against the clock to kill as many V19s as possible, while losing as few SFs as possible. Like we talked about earlier, I don't think killing Sinker is particularly useful, because he can't keep up with the SF/FO/silencer. Right? If the V19s are going to be shooting things, they have to be near Sinker to matter, and if they're not near Sinker, I don't care about them because they don't do damage. And if they are near Sinker, they're probably out of range or out of arc because their Sinker's really slow. Which is weird to say about a medium base, but it's very true about a medium base that like has to avoid running into a bunch of V19s and SFs and everything. But yeah, so what's funny here is when we talk about this first set of movements, so we talked, and I mentioned the risk aversion meter, right? So, Travis, you didn't watch this game. What are you expecting to see like in an opening set of maneuvers here? Because like Andrew's good at the game. He knows he's not going to kill Kylo, right?
I expect you to just 5 straight boost in with Kylo. I don't really know what your strategy is with your others. Like, I don't know if you're going to like 5.
Oh, no, sorry. I mean, and what are you expecting to see out of Andrew?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what his little thing is. I'm expecting like 2 turns or some banks or something.
Okay, but yeah, basically
you try and joust your SFs.
Yeah, but you're expecting him to come around like this way, basically, right?
Yeah, I'm exactly expecting.
So I was expecting him to come around like this way, or this way, right?
Well, no. I mean, in terms of the exact set of maneuvers, yeah, I could see him coming through either of those alleys, but with the intent of jousting your SFs.
Right.
So, like, I think that's his target, because I also agree that he should just ignore Kylo. Like, he could just lose the game trying to chase Kylo.
Yep. Okay.
Is there, just a question up front, is there any, you've played the Sinker Swarm, as you said, is there any reasonable, like, does he basically have to 2-turn at some point to get out of this, or is there reasonable banking ways that he can set this up?
I mean, you could even get out of it going straight, right? Like,
no, of course. I just mean, at some point, like, I don't think it would be unreasonable for him to just fly across the board for a turn or two and see what you do. But when he needs to set up an engagement, can he set it up with a bank in 1 turn?
Yeah.
Or does he need to? Okay.
So if you get an, I don't remember the math off the top of my head, but if the V19s go 1 straight faster than Sinker the first turn, then their 1 banks and Sinker's 2 bank get everything set up properly. It's something to that effect. But the TLDRs, they can do it. You should assume that they know how to.
Right.
And if they
it is relevant if they have to telegraph that a turn in advance as well.
Right. Well, and so he always has to go a speed slower or faster than them, so it's not super telegraphed just because he's a medium base and they're small.
Right. But I mean, because of where he put Rick, like, he either has to turn or he has to jump over Rick, or he's all screwed up, right?
Yeah. Well, so I don't know a bunch of Sinker openings, but I've seen some, and so like I suspect that he doesn't have to 2-turn here. He can like do a 2 bank first. He can do like there's probably some banking.
Sure, I just mean like he can't 1 straight along the edge, right? Can he? Or does that
I mean, so he could 1 straight everybody this turn, and then 2 straight and 1 straight Sinker, and then 1 straight everybody, and then 2 straight and 1 straight Sinker.
Right. So effectively, you're zeroing Sinker here on the first turn, or is he aligned such that he can go past Rick? That's, I guess, what.
I don't know. I would assume that Rick's just getting out of there. Like, he's if they like 1 straight or whatever, he's gonna 5 straight and just leave or whatever.
No, sure. I just mean in terms of like, Sinker has to move first. So do you get any additional information from that?
Gotcha. I guess, I mean, you pick up the information that he can't 1 straight the entire list, but he could 2 straight Sinker and 1 straight the V19s and still be fine. Sure. Whatever, yeah. So I don't think so. I mean, it might be, but I'm not sure. Okay, so I will say at this point, I switched off the I'm going to 5 straight everything plan because Rick was placed with this stuff. So while I don't think or didn't think that he was going to like 2-turn the entire list in on my SFs and just let me like surround his list for free, like it's a little more of that because, Rick's now suddenly in the corner with them as well. I was expecting, because what I usually see people do with these, there we go. What I usually see people do with these like mini swarm ace things is like, Rick sets, much like I did with Kylo, right? Like Rick sets up over here and comes out like this and tries to scare people. Like that's how I did mine. Not necessarily that far apart, but like, so the goal here is like, okay, I want to fight just as Sinker Swarm with these guys and get Kylo to arc dodge Rick while helping against the Sinker Swarm, but that's not a thing that's going to happen now.
Yeah.
So I decided I was out. I'm glad I decided I was out because check this out. Oh, all right. Here's where I want hotkeys for playback speed, but it should be pretty quick. So I'll start just pausing when people start revealing dials instead of setting them.
Sure.
The way to do this. See Chris, indecisive Alan in a scorch dial that won't stay still. Cheating. Nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he one turns the entire, the red one turns.
Stressful ones?
Yeah. I was like, what's happening? Of all the things to expect, this is not, this
I
ain't
guess he
it.
just knows that
So,
like he can clear that rock with straights.
Why
now.
not do turn barrel roll? Does that mess up the...
I have the exact same question. I
Okay.
think he wanted more space between him and that gas cloud to like not hit it.
Yeah,
my
I think he
assumption.
knows that. I think that 3/3 allows him very specifically to keep straighting, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't this pose a new problem for him? Because you bailed out of the joust, and now he's literally following you through a bunch of gas clouds.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm glad. Oh, I didn't realize they voted. I guess they always vote. All right, Twitch chat. Don't
I didn't know
disappoint
that
me.
this got kept in the video.
Yeah, my man, first vote. Wow, second guy's dead to me. Okay. But yeah, like, now literally the entire list is stressed except for what's it called?
The Rick.
Yeah, except for
But
Rick.
yeah, this seems like a very good opening engage for you. Opening setup, just because again, you're literally he's opting into your, hey, chase me through this middle of the board.
Yeah, I was like, sweet. Seems good.
So your rollout there with Scorch is just because you want him coming in after the SFs, right? You just want...
and
Right.
stalling. It's
Well,
it's like slowdowns, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because Scorch has I go too fast.
God, and Kylo's strategy is 0% changed. It's like,
Hey, I barrel rolled instead of boosting, okay?
Okay, and actually, I'm a little... Is that perhaps overly risk averse?
No,
Like,
I just wanted to not hit the gas cloud if I went 5 straight again.
but
yeah.
you think... No, but you could have just boosted left there and not hit it, right? Or you just...
Oh, yeah, okay. So I guess it's not easy to see from here.
Yeah.
But if I 5 straighted the next turn and he 3 banked, we would have been out of range. So I don't want to waste that turn with Rick, if that makes sense, right? So, like, let's say... Draw on the screen. There we go. So let's say he 3 banks, right?
Yep.
And even like boosts, so it'd be something like this would be my
Sure.
assumption. So I was boost roll. I was something like here, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So and then here, so this is out of range. This is like range 4 or whatever. So then I have to worry about his Rick just potentially blocking my Kylo, which isn't really something I feel like dealing with.
well, and those things could turn back in to try and go into that new gap.
Yeah, although the thing is, like, they have to do a bank, and even with the roll there, it's like Kylo just doing a 5
I mean, they
straight
can
from that
two-way turn.
original position.
He clearly
feels-
doesn't care about stress. So.
Probably correctly
That's
so.
fine, but again, like, I can't draw, but from your original position there, just Kylo doing a 5 straight still feels pretty safe to me that next turn.
Yeah,
But
I don't think
there's anything wrong with this again, but to me, that roll out, if I was playing Nuckols, signals more that you're posturing to go after Rick than after the
Oh,
formation.
gotcha.
But-
So that's interesting because I absolutely I did it to make it easier to ignore Rick, not
Right.
to.
Well, yeah, but the irony is that you want, like, in theory, you want to telegraph that you're going after Rick. You want him to be weird,
Yeah, you want the
weirdly more
backward
cagey with
straight.
Rick, even if your intention is.
But
to
like
never go
because
for
to
him.
me, adding range means that you want to set it up so that if Rick 5 straights, you can still 5 straight and shoot
Gotcha,
him or somewhere,
yeah.
right? Rather than if you set it up closer, then you know that if you 5 straight past any of his 4s, he's not really a threat, right?
Right. So yeah, actually, I'm going for the second option there. You see it in a little bit. So back to setting dials. But yeah, so this is the point in the game where I very much did not expect anything looking like this board state at all. I thought,
I don't know your dials, but if I were to guess, the SFs are just going to I wouldn't even
They have,
two-turn them at this point.
basically every
Banks.
maneuver.
Well, no, I would just be banking in with a 1 bank, 2 bank maybe, based on the next set of turn ends. But this seems pretty ideal, or straight at this point. Hell, live your best life. Okay, yeah, this is very interesting. Like, I've never seen this game, so that was a very interesting opening move.
All right,
there's
Twitch
probably a
chat's
lot
on
of-
my side. My men,
Barely.
my dudes. No, not barely. Colossal victory, landslide.
All right, 45 unique votes.
Definitely one additional vote.
No!
Oh, wrecked.
We should elect a president based on these votes.
Oh no. All right. Okay. So we're gonna talk about this turn of maneuvers, but I don't think there's because we all know that he's not gonna bank these V19s right into the gas clouds.
I no longer know that.
Oh no! Shoot, the dial's flipped and it's a bank. Oh man, my ploy didn't work. Okay.
Well, my thing is, I literally now expect, he clearly has no concern of his own safety or his ships. So I
Well, no, I don't think like a one bank and potentially a roll. That doesn't seem like
I bet
a
he won't roll.
from here to me.
Well, Yeah, it's
I mean, you
more
don't
of,
have to. Who really cares? But
yeah,
I
it was more
actually
of,
expected Banks here.
yeah. Okay, I was expecting him to just go straight, and it's the sinker barrel roll. I guess actually said we kind of glossed over it. The sinker barrel roll said that he was going to bank
Mhm.
versus because if he was just going to go straight, he'd just keep sinker next to everything. But
Mhm.
yeah,
right. But the reason why I'd expect the bank is because you've pointed all your ships towards the other half of the board at this point, right?
Right.
So he wants to start getting turned that way.
Yeah, but see, the way I look at it is if you just march down the board and 2 turned again, like
Oh,
that's
I'm not saying that it would be wrong, but I don't know. I don't know.
So
I've never
I
played
have a
against
different question.
Andrew Nuckols in particular, but
I
my
do.
default assumption is that people outside of other things will still point roughly towards the
towards their
enemy with
opponent.
the board.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, but I mean that still plays more if that's the naive, and I don't think Andrew's naive, but I mean if that's a naive play, he's going to start running over rocks, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
My question here is, since I've kind of gone on the record with like tie swarms, for instance, saying like the longer you dance around the board, the worse off you are. You should actually just end up. I mean, you should realize that something in your list will end up jousting that tie swarm, like will be in the tie swarm. So you just need to like quickly get to that. Like you need to be cognizant of the board and do your best to outmaneuver it, but you're never going to completely outmaneuver like a tie swarm. Something's going to be shot at, might even die, but you need to extend beyond that as quickly as possible. So my question is, while it's great that he is potentially playing into your rock strategy, are you concerned about time?
So I think the sinker swarm has a much less good time plan in terms of like because Iden doesn't exist, so you can actually scratch it once and the game's over. Not that like I'm sitting over here in the corner waiting for one turn of shots, but like I don't think it's not nearly as binary in terms of how long you need to shoot at it to do damage. So like if 2v19s die and an SF die, like I'm good with that. That's fine.
Okay, I'll just check. I just wanted to check in on that because it's just I think it's interesting for the audience about the differences between these kinds of swarms, right? Like this, we talk about swarms and there is some sort of general strategy, but like these are the kind of nuances that'll be different than a tie swarm.
Yeah, and you already outlined my thoughts. Like I don't even know that it's worth revisiting, right? Like we mostly just want to get these TIE fighters up or TIE SFs like up in this space, right?
Yep.
So that they can figure out if they want to be here or here or here.
Yep. Because once you're there, you can just 2-turn and barrel roll in either direction.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
necessary.
And you can basically 2-turn barrel roll, not move forever. So,
Right.
All right, let's see what
So
happens.
Travis, what would you do here though? Curiously, with as
Out of
Chris's
which
styles?
With Chris's dials,
Yeah.
I probably would have 1 or 2 banked based. I mean, I can't really tell with the parallax here, right? So,
Yeah.
but approximately where he already drew that square for both of them for the same exact reasons. Scorch might have even just continued going straight and then probably just another 5 straight or 3, 4, 5 with Kylo to get around and just like
So I think
chasing.
Kylo has an easy 3-4 because
Yeah.
Rick can't otherwise shoot him that way, right? Like you're not Rick's taking bad shots and you're taking shots at him.
I guess it would be 3, 4s. Yeah, I don't see a reason for necessarily the 5. Right.
I think I would probably 2 and 3 turn in the SFs behind those clouds myself, and then I'd probably like 1 turn, maybe roll Scorch, just to
slow
wait
down
for
a little bit.
time.
Hit the brakes.
I like the 1-turn barrel roll.
I went a little faster than Travis thought, but
I mean, that's
that's
same
fine.
strategy.
And that's the thing. Like, I definitely would have 3-turned the other guy. I just might have 2-turned that guy to align them a little more.
I mean, when we're talking about speed, it's hard for me to tell which speed. Like, so that's the area I was looking at.
Yeah, exactly.
So in other words, on the table, it takes a 3 speed to do that. I don't from here.
Yep.
So I'm saying, but you drew where I was thinking of being.
yeah, exactly.
So that's where I wanted to be, and that seems great. Right.
So now you guys are like, so with that roll as well, did you consider leaving your other guy behind that cloud? Because with that roll, you're basically committed to this engagement across this gas cloud at this point. I mean, you can still opt out to some extent, right?
Right.
But
I like the
you've both
engagement.
Yeah, I was
lined
gonna
up
say-
a little bit into that gap, right?
Like I was pretty because if I think I'm pretty in for the we run through and he has to funnel
so-
these V19s.
Right, and pause 1 second. That
Pausing.
barrel roll on sinker,
I
I
don't
could be
understand
wrong,
that
but
one.
that tells you he's banking to
Yes,
the right
that
next
says
turn,
that he-
right?
well,
Like
yeah,
100% pretty much, right?
Yeah, or he's going a 1 speed faster with sinker. Like if he
Like straight, just
1
right
straight all the
over.
V19s, 2 straight sinker. But yeah,
I guess he could, but he can't turn left anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like without.
Yeah, it seems like a
yeah,
really
like
big
that's like a
telegraph.
commit. Okay, we're doing it. Is what that.
Yeah,
is.
which is, as you said, chasing Kylo probably isn't the right
That's a little faster on
idea,
Scorch
but
than I
he's
was
not
thinking.
even pretending to threaten Kylo here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a little faster on Scorch than I was thinking, but I don't know how much it matters, to be honest.
Oh,
Especially
you can-
considering what he decided to do here with the telegraph. Like, you now know what's going on. I think the 3 might just straight up be better whether you meant for it to be better or not. Like if there was some like super deep logic.
Okay, so Kylo does
course.
the 2.
Of course, he
Interesting.
He
because you're
buns
just
it, yeah.
avoiding engagement at all costs at this point,
Right,
right?
so
You're just
what-
not even changing shots.
Andrew's already making fun of you, but here's why, right? Because now, whoa, I hate God. Look at my desktop. Look at it. Okay,
That's a nice background, Chris.
thanks. Yeah. So let's say Kylo had gone faster and he were like here, right, with like 3 or 4. I can't really bully Rick out of keeping like from shooting Scorch. Is my thoughts, right? Like 'cause the next turn he's gonna 3 bank here, and I can't even do anything about it, right?
I mean, he could 3 bank, but even if you were like, I just don't know that you think. I mean, he could also like 4 straight boost type thing.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't know. I guess you're slightly more bullying Rick than you would otherwise, but you also could have taken a potentially meaningful shot on him this turn with almost nothing you could have done, right?
Well, so I don't know.
Like 1 damage maybe type shot, but
This cool guy wrote a calculator. Let's see.
weird.
So a 2 force lock shot into range 3, focus evade is gonna do it's a 26% chance to do a damage. So
Yeah.
I think I want the positioning over that.
Yeah, I just the thing that I
Well,
mean, granted, some of this is knowing what the V19s have done, but I don't think being closer is bad for next turn in general, because again, they don't want to turn in on Kylo here, right? And so closer means that you can easily grab that range 1.
Well, actually, so I think thinking more, I'm not sure I agree with the whole he's committed to going into the SFs, because he can very easily get his rerolls with any of the banks. So the V19s could be here.
Yeah, and then
right?
Sinker banks
and
right
Sinker,
or something.
well, Sinker can just go straight, right, and land here. Hide behind the gas cloud against the V19s. All the V19s shoot an aggressive Kylo next turn.
Well, see, I just
fine,
first of all, I
but-
just don't believe that.
I don't either, but
So here's the thing. So I'm looking at this. I actually now I'm not sure I liked that barrel roll of your back yellow, because in theory, from my point of view, it appears to me that you would want him wasting shots through gas clouds at the yellow. Like you're not realistically going to do a lot of damage
right.
with
So
that, but you want him like, because the more shots he does through a gas cloud, like the less interesting he's wasted all of his really highly modified shots with. I was just thinking like you could like turn pink if yellow was still behind that gas cloud. You could like 1 forward, right? You could have this like weird enclosing net on him pretty easily next turn.
I agree with the whole hide behind gas clouds, but with 2 identical ships, the only way hiding yellow behind a gas cloud is useful is if if there's multiple shots he has where he can only shoot that target, right? Like otherwise I'm just harming myself.
Yeah, I think probably though, like
I'm thinking about pink
still
leaving.
Yeah,
but Scorch can't leave, right? He's got no rear arc.
Yeah,
I mean,
I probably wouldn't have rolled, but for a different reason. I just don't like committing. I like always casting a wider thing, because basically then he's picking which one he's going after, right? And then the other one, and these are the gunner ones, right?
Yeah.
So the other one then has a follow up turn in with another 3 to 4 die.
And I think I agree with that. Like if this guy were here, which is where he rolled from, I think he's in a better position to like
he just goes the other way around the cloud, right?
And then 2 turn.
Well, that's
I
sure.
I don't know that it's better, but I just think that's my natural inclination is normally to spread people, because I want, as Travis has said, like you're gonna end up jousting something, or call it what you want. You're gonna end up engaging something.
I'm overly using the word jousting.
No, exactly right. But they're gonna point at something at some point, and that's fine. And you're fine with it being one of these SFs. In fact, you want it to be one of these SFs, right? And you want to pick the range such that you get 3 dice and probably some obstruction if you can. But the main thing is like you're gonna trade down in that initial engagement. So I'm always feeling like when you're in this sort of matchup, you want to be able to capitalize on that down trade of dice with a trade up in position for as much of your list as possible.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I think like in hindsight, I would rather be here to do that.
Right.
Okay, so that's hindsight though. Like you're here, you're still getting mostly the engage you think you want based on time and what's going on here.
Right.
I mean, I think Kylo had a range of maneuvers that are all like
it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah,
to be
I don't really.
Kylo
I mean, I don't hate anything Kylo did here, anyways. I just think I probably would have tended to be more aggressive with him.
I liked a slower speed from Scorch, so he's even farther behind, right? Like just because I just want the like I want the if I don't have a lot of shots and he has a lot of shots, I want them to be really bad shots on him. Like I no longer care about the quality of my shot, right? I care about the lowering the quality of his, and that's why I was thinking about the multiple angles, because whatever he turns in, I want to be bad for him, and then the rest of my shots just kind of follow
Well,
through.
actually, so Scorch 3 turned to like here, right, and then barrel rolled.
Barrel roll back.
I actually think he would have been better off just not barrel rolling in the first place.
Yeah, at this
That's what I'm
point,
getting at.
and that's the question, right? Like him lining up behind that asteroid is great if you actually think there's like a 50-50 of Nuckols going left or right. But if you think it's more probable of him going right, then you might as well have just stayed on the other side.
Right, and I'll show you why I did that later. It's hard to describe.
Let's see what happens.
We'll go. But yeah, so there's going to be a whole bunch of no shooting here as I try to decide what to do with Kylo. It's going to make Andrew laugh.
Of course. No, it's fine because you wanna be able to 3-bank in here to.
Yeah. Well,
to
actually,
cover the
I want to be able to
back,
land
right?
directly in front of the gas cloud. Right, so I can 3 straight there, and then if Rick...
So that's interesting. What are you scared of that you want a 3 straight here versus 3-banking in next?
So it's
just
not
flexibility, right?
Yeah, it's just I don't want to be blocked, not a...
Right, but you were saying a second ago that you're worried about Rick 3-banking right to go after Scorch.
Right.
Here you've set up a perfect 3-bank to threaten that, right?
Right. I don't actually remember if I 3-bank or 3 straight, but what I mean is because I want to be as close to Rick as possible while not being in his arc, because then he can't even threaten turning into Kylo. Like it's not
the problem is that like if he 3-banks and then barrel rolls or boosts or something, and you 3 straight, you might like you still can you 3 straight and the boost still fit, or are you
no
it'll be right in front of the gas cloud. And
so then then you're not threatening Rick's 3-bank, right? Like
what? Because I mean he can still. So you're saying all right? Hang on. Well, I guess we can. It's
say Scorch goes like 2 straight barrel roll or something.
So the 3 straights like here, right?
3-bank.
3-banks
I
like
would,
here.
I would
Maybe
expect
further,
it to be a little further.
Yeah, something like that, right? So in Kylo's 3 straight lands like here ish.
Yeah, and then if Rick boosts or anything, you're
like, so you're saying to land like here?
I don't know. Do you think no straight? The question is like
boost. Right. So basically, the TLDR is if Rick gets to like here.
Yeah, can Kylo not shoot him?
No, because I mean Kylo can still just like lock roll and land like here. Just take.
Yeah, I mean maybe I'm just doing it wrong in the
I
field.
was like, it's really hard to tell. Hey, now Dion's drawing. That's confusing. What color is this?
Yeah.
All right. Are there different colors? Color vision people.
They're good enough.
All right,
one of them's aliased and one of them's has a nice edge, so it's fine.
So now Nuckols is playing 6 ships and I'm not, so I'm just drawing a beautiful picture.
Yeah. That's note taking, so 1 penalty point.
I did. Dion gave me a stream penalty point.
That's good.
That's the important part.
Anyways, I don't hate the Kylo thing. I still think you're playing a little too scared with him, but
I believe you.
Because the other thing is that like, and maybe this is that I've been playing too much Grievous lately too, but taking 1 or 2 damage on Kylo early and then making them want to go after you is a great strategy.
Right? It is.
Because like you said, it is pointless to shoot him. So if he literally never gets shot, then you've sort of paid for
a bunch of tankiness
that you didn't really need. But yeah.
Anyways,
but it is a risk because you could take half, and then that's a big issue.
Then you've got serious problems.
Yep.
But yeah, okay. So is there anything? So we all agree, right? These V19s, there's like a 99% chance that they end up in a block like this, right?
Yep, I agree.
And Sinker's gonna bank in here, right? So what do you do about it now that I've put Scorch in a bad place? Like, granted, the V19s aren't really happy because like one of these is gonna go over a gas cloud, the other one's gonna be an obstructed shot over a gas cloud.
I guess I'm just curious, and I don't know the angle of what fits here, but I'm just wondering. So this might be too hypothetical, but like, could that pink just 3 turn and then barrel roll, like 3 turn away?
Right.
Because again, I'm not even sure how many shots he would have on him if he were to do that, if that's the thought that you're doing, and I think it's a very high probability.
So I think I like that if this SF had not barrel rolled, because
that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure I like it as much now, but that's what was in my head of why I wanted the yellow on the other side, right?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think one
and
of
your
your
Scorch
guys
now
still...
also kind of has to bank in, or just 2 straight and
or go around, right? But if he were here, he could have just 5 straighted and landed like here and told the V19s go straight. I don't believe you.
Depending on how much you care about Rick shooting him, I think just 2 straight roll is fine for Scorch, but you could bank towards Rick if you're really worried. But and then your other guys, like, I don't know, you could get tricky and turn them both out, but you spent the money on the gunner, so like probably.
That's why actually we dragged
So-
Andrew in here, because there's like before Gen Con, the number of people that had experience with SFs is very low. And going into it, I was like, I'll just bring Gunner because I don't really like the just having a 2-die front shot and 2-die back shot. But we'll talk about it after like most things happen. But like I think these would be like, so for example, a Zeta Squadron Survivor's 42 points, Backdraft with Nuckols 41 points. I think Backdraft's a strict upgrade. Like I would not play this again.
100% agree. Yeah.
All
All right, let's see what happens. I want to see.
Let's go.
I want to see the banks. I want to be really right or really wrong.
All right. So the picture, for anyone wondering, the camera didn't pick it
Oh,
up.
look, banks.
It says
bank.
"Buy my acrylic," and it has a picture of Nuckols, a very beautiful picture of Nuckols.
Yeah, it was really hard to see, but I think we did Twitch chat decode it.
All right, they went and changed.
So yeah. So
Also, what is with these votes? What's happening?
So
Oh, I don't.
so-
ooh.
After your brilliant maneuvering him onto this rock, they've decided that he's going to win now.
So just to be clear, I liked my strategy because especially all the telegraph where yellow's behind that gas cloud and they're taking bad shots. The 3-turn was really cool. And then the not barrel roll scorch just like comically screws with this list.
That's interesting that he lined them all up in a row. Is that just for blocks next turn, you think?
It's shot.
So he doesn't hit the
obstructing
gas
both
cloud. He'd
gas
rather lose
clouds.
the action this turn than
So, all right,
lose it
pause.
next turn.
So I don't really want to criticize my opponents too much in this, right? Because like we're talking about all the mistakes I've made already. This linked evade may be the worst linked action in the history of actions. Maybe.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
I
why.
don't know
Yeah,
what
right.
it-
Because
I
you
don't know
just
what
don't
it's
shoot that
accomplishing.
ship, right? Like you're not shooting him anyways.
You probably weren't shooting him anyways because of all the obstructions.
Right.
So
I think people just like linked actions.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe he's scared of Kylo too, right? But
Kylo will probably be shooting a different ship too.
Kylo's gonna be shooting whatever all these SF shoot. Which pro tip?
right.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me in my rebel play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
I don't
figured
think that's
that's what you're
terrible,
kinda
to be honest, where you were. Like,
Yeah.
I don't either. I think that's sort of where you're stuck doing it based on what the maneuvers you made, and I don't think they're wrong. I'm just, it's one of those things that might be the best maneuver, and from what you did, I'm just wondering if there's another
I think
universe. You're right.
Yeah, like it's a
We're kinda
little
entertaining
unfortunate if you end up at range 2, but he came a little faster than I
that. For the
expected.
audience, this is what we're talking about. Sinker, he's absolutely willing to turn Sinker and have no shots. His ideal engagement is to have shots, but I think he has to
Ooh,
shoot. a
okay,
really-
explain this to me,
Yeah.
Chris.
Okay, so I also wasn't expecting him to go this fast. I thought it was gonna be one banks out of everyone, and I wanted to be able to just get a free shot on everybody from here, right? So if these all one banked,
Right.
this guy's still gonna be an arc, and nobody else is gonna be able to have him, because they.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like this.
Yeah, no, I don't
The
either.
reason I don't like it is separate from whether his speed or not. So the thing I'm thinking about
Yeah.
with Hellform is that you have he doesn't have to do much to point
Yeah,
out all
you've
your
committed all your ships to the same lane at this point.
Exactly.
right. And I want you spread out, right?
And
If
we
I'm
would have
your
been better off with Scorch here, right?
Exactly.
He'd have
Yeah.
a shot on someone. We'd be better off with our SF like over
Yeah.
here, facing this way, right?
And then maybe Pink is either turned or right where Pink is now.
Yeah,
It
right
doesn't
where
really
he's not
matter.
be good. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I always want my opponent to pick a target and then turn his list away from as many as my ships as
Right.
possible.
And this is the
Right.
thing I talk about with the TIE Swarm. You can keep going, but like with the TIE Swarm about like something's going to get shot, just make sure they don't get to shoot something else for free next turn.
Yeah.
Like doing nothing. And that's what I was thinking of is like you're in this case, Sinker, they can just one straight and
Did
keep
Rick
shooting targets.
3 straight?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why would he 3 straight? I mean, it worked, so it was correct, right? But
Yep.
because you 2 straighted.
Well, it didn't work. Pro tip.
Okay, but hold on. No, but I mean,
It didn't work because none of this matters.
that's fine. But I don't understand. Like, because I would have expected a 3 out of Kylo there. If he's going straight, why not at least do a 4?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the 3 straight was probably not correct. Like he didn't have a move that caught the 2 straight.
The thing is, had Kylo just
And
3
see, and so
straighted,
this is what you were talking
3
about,
straighted
like-
and exchanged fire 3 on
Right, so
2
this
both
is what-
directions, that seems good.
All right, one sec. So this is what you were talking about the linked evade. And so I do think we don't have Nuckols, and this is not really the point of it. And again, it's not really to criticize, but I think that might have been a mistake because again, you just like, I'm just going to shoot other ones. And as a matter of fact, if there was one to have an evade, it would be front ones because it's more likely to one that where all your concentrated shots will be, not the back one, right? Like,
Okay. So I have a question here.
Mhm.
What do our guts say the odds? So my whole list is going to shoot here,
Yep.
and his whole list is going to shoot here, right?
Yeah.
So what do we expect the damage to look like at the end of this, right? So let's do some like I would
Some
expect this
complete
SF to
gut.
be mostly
I
on
see-
fire.
I suspect you have like a coin flip to kill Pink.
Is that
My
the front one?
suspicion is your SF takes like shields.
Okay. I don't actually remember the outcome of the engagement.
Yeah, he's shooting first, so
So-
you probably end up using your
so-
first defense.
All right, so go ahead. You go ahead and speed through because the actual damage will be interesting later, and the dice
Right.
rolls are less relevant.
But the gut is interesting too.
Oh
Right?
no, I don't mean that part is interesting. I'm talking about you can just while we're talking go through the
Yeah.
dice, so we're not waiting for it later. So the conversation I want to have here is you've picked your target. Why did you pick that target?
So I picked that so that I'm significantly more likely to clear SF maneuvers next turn.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. Right?
But did you think there's a
dice
decent
will
chance
happen.
of you killing it?
So yes, I do think there's a decent chance of killing it. I don't know what that chance
Okay.
was.
I
assumed it
think
was
you're
about a coin flip. Was my
I figured
thought
you're
as
at
well.
about I mean, I don't know the map,
Okay,
but I figured
yeah.
you're at a coin flip to kill it. Right.
My gut would say 3 to 4 most of the time on
Okay.
him. But
And
it
then
could be
I'm
wrong.
expecting to almost lose in SF. I don't know.
So
how
you already
it
shot
was.
with Kylo and did nothing?
Yeah,
or-
and did nothing.
Yeah.
So now we've picked up some additional information. I'm probably not going to kill him.
Yeah. Now you just that's not.
But I don't think there's anyone. Oh. just
Yeah,
people-
so I ioned it. Dank.
Interesting.
Speaking of making it easier to clear maneuvers.
Yep.
Yeah, Sinker barely has the shot here.
Yeah, it's meaningless.
And
guess
frankly,
out
he's
shot,
lucky
like,
to have it.
whatever.
Yeah, he's lucky to have the shot. To be pretty blunt.
Oh, I think he just barely didn't have it. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if he has it, he's lucky to have had that shot.
Yeah.
is my
Whatever.
point.
it is.
But again, this is for the audience. A Sinker Swarm,
Yeah. So
and,
that's right.
not,
And-
and not incorrectly, is willing. They're willing to not shoot with Sinker for one round to make sure that their list has Sinker.
Yeah.
And you need to exploit that fact because they're not incorrect for doing it. They'd be better off, of course, if Sinker gets to shoot, but like that's just the way the list plays, and they don't always have that option.
So I'm back with our expected damage. So we're expecting the SF he shoots to take between 1 and 3 damage, right? It's a
Hey, the dream. I said shields.
Yeah. So we're expecting to take. It's a 40% chance to hit for 3, 67% chance to hit for at least 2, right? Like so that's the range we're expecting. It's the average damage on the V19 is 5.1.
Okay, so
62.
it's
It's a 62% chance.
But hold on,
so a
that's
little better than a
assuming
coin
you.
flip.
That's assuming you
better
still
than
have
I thought.
focus when you're shooting. Like one, I'm assuming your SF is not going to have focus
Right. That's assuming a focus on offense for one of the SFs.
for one. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but not for the other one. Okay, so that's a little better than I thought. But then again, after you whiff with Kylo, you know you're probably not killing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's some Bayesian information for you.
And Nuckols is doing the right thing. I know this is like people are starting to understand this more, but he picked his back V19 to shoot first.
Yeah, to see what
Generally,
target.
want to pick the ones that are like the least modded and the most constrained to shoot
Yeah.
first.
Or if there's something where you're like, especially if you're unsure if you can focus fire a particular target, and the one that's least likely to have the shot, you get that information first because you may change your target priority based on who you can in fact focus
Yeah,
fire.
or based on whether you did. The other thing that people don't do often enough is they pick what they're going to focus fire, and then they take 2 shots and they don't do any damage, or they don't strip any tokens. But
and don't
at that
change
point,
potentially.
yeah, don't
reevaluate
change
target.
it. Like you should every new piece of information you get, you should reevaluate whether.
Okay. So this is a pretty bad
So just-
opening exchange.
Well, you can let it go through to the dials and pause.
Oh,
How
yeah,
much
sorry.
did you do? You did 3.
Yeah, I hit it
So-
for 3.
and he hit you
Yeah,
for
the SS
1.
basically did nothing. For 2.
2. Okay, they
Yeah.
just didn't update the overlay.
So this is a case where
Yeah,
every
just
damage on you is
like, you
worth
can-
more than damage
Yeah,
on him,
Right. So you can see the 2 shields are flipped there.
right? And
Yeah,
this
so
is, this
he
is your
traded
concern.
up a little bit in that one, I think.
Yeah.
But the main
And,
thing is I do sort of like he just goes straight, and he's probably shooting something.
Yep.
Unless I don't know. So yeah, dials wise here, what are you thinking
So,
about? And then I'll tell you what I would.
here's
Yeah,
do.
because you have a parking lot problem,
Yeah.
right?
Hey, stop drawing, Dion. I'm trying to draw here. All right, let's back up a little bit so it's not super confusing. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna hit play and then draw, and then it'll go while we're good. Okay. So since this guy's ioned, right? So I'm expecting this guy to like 3 straight
Jump over
and hang out like here.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm expecting this guy to like 1 straight behind him, right? So like
Sure.
he'll be like this, and then this guy will probably run into this guy.
So
will
we're
run
moving the
into him, like,
parking
right
lot
there.
forward too, and getting.
Yeah, exactly. And then this guy to
Reaction
like
of it
1
still.
bank in, or maybe even he 1 banks first, and this guy blocks.
Sure.
Right, but I'm expecting no maneuvers here clear.
Correct.
Oh, hi Dion. Okay. Right, and like past that,
Hey,
I don't
look,
think
you
it's
shifted them all up by 1 too.
and I don't think it's useful to try to guess their specific maneuvers past
No.
that. Right.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
You just know
the
some
only
sort of
like
parking
risk,
lot is forming.
yeah, there's like slightly risky thing you might have to like be cared of is things turning in and blocking Kylo, but the fact that he stressed that guy again
Yeah,
means
it makes
that's
it very much a non-issue.
less likely.
Um, so yeah, and what's noteworthy here is you can't really tell here. This 3-turn left, which
Yeah.
is what I want to do,
Yeah,
is hit like it barely clips the
hits
gas
the
cloud.
cloud. Yeah,
So
yeah.
a little unfortunate.
Right, but you can tell that, right? So
Yeah,
that's
so I know
that's the
on-
reason you're
right.
not entertaining it,
I
not
mean,
because it would
to
not
be honest,
otherwise have
like
been.
I would still consider doing it,
Yeah,
even given
exactly.
that, but only
Well-
if you're also turning the top one out, right?
Yeah.
I'd see the reason I don't know about that, though. I guess your maneuvers are kind of limited. Is that without the barrel roll, it might just be setting you up for failure.
It might be, sure. No, actually, no, you got a problem because you got the SF and you got your arc forward.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
So they
also
can't
why I
shoot
don't like
backwards.
gunner SF.
Yep, agreed.
Yep.
So I
So,
think I
yeah.
have. So I'm gonna walk you through my logic. I think I have two real options. I have the one bank here and hope,
Yep.
and the one straight here. Probably run into him, right? Whatever. Just trade
Yeah.
shots, and then
Well,
Scorch.
but you can pick which way you do those. One of them's gonna.
Yeah, exactly. And then Scorch, right? So he can. The options I have
You're
dialed
getting
in
five
are
straight.
a 2-turn, and
Oh, he's
just
stressed.
meekly
Sad.
accept it, or just 5 straight and hope, come back later.
Right, but you also stressed him last turn, so.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So when you did no damage with Kylo, did you consider not stressing him?
No, I probably should have.
I see. And the reason you're saying that for the audience, just to make it more obvious, is once you realize you didn't do damage with Kylo, your odds of actually killing the ship was very low, meaning there's no
lower now.
reason to stress yourself and limit your
Actually,
dial.
Well, I mean, it's still a damage race, right? But yeah, you
Yeah.
do got to think about this next turn being awkward. So
Yeah. But so on top of that, actually I don't know because he did have to spend a focus defensively from Kylo. So I don't know that the odds are still like, I think they were probably like 40% to kill him at that point.
for sure, yeah.
There we go. Oh, got to assert dominance on Rick, very important. So like I don't know that it's wrong to stress, but the like more risk averse move is definitely to not stress so that he can just get out, right? Because like my entire list, and the other annoying thing is,
I mean, I'm going to
this
be pretty
guy's
blunt.
3-turn.
Aren't you happier if they shoot Scorch here than your SFs?
Oh,
Your
yeah.
SFs are kind of the
Yes.
baller ships
I
in this
agree.
game.
Yep.
So like I actually think turning him in, like stressing and turning him in is a feature in the sense of like shoot, Scorch, do it. I dare you, because yeah, he might die, but like I want the SFs alive as long as like the uptime from the SFs are the key to this match.
Right. And
Right.
actually, I really dislike this positioning even more because these guys, I want to just 3-turn both, right?
Yep.
And then just barrel roll and be here. Like,
Yep.
Well, you learn something. Like this is the thing
Yeah.
that we're talking about. Like in the moment you made a mistake, you can see it now. Like again, casting the wider net, but it's hard. People make mistakes on the table. That's why we're analyzing it here.
Yeah. So
kind of
and to be
walking
fair,
through
like
it.
you're turning. Rick is gonna 3-turn, right? Does
Yeah.
anyone disagree with that?
No,
Yeah.
it's
So
not even.
he's gonna 3-turn. You're turning one of your guys into him. If you 3-turn, that is much less of an issue.
Right.
than
Right.
The one. Now, Chris, what are you thinking before we do this with Kylo? Because if I recall, this is one maneuver that I was like, that's.
I bet I
don't know. I don't
okay.
know exactly why, but then I think I figured it out later. So enlighten me.
Yeah. So the default boring move is to 2 straight Kylo.
Yeah.
I did the 3 straight. And the reason
Right.
is if he 3 straights his 1 turn still fits, I know I'm not going to stress him, or his barrel roll 2 turn still fits.
Okay.
And
I thought maybe you were worrying about Rick.
no,
or whatever.
it's completely unrelated to Rick. It's
Hey,
just
nice,
I want to.
nice die,
Yeah,
Chris.
I wonder where that came from. So the note here at this point, very important. This says 6'5" built like a truck. It was hard to read apparently on stream, so I went back and bolded it. So I'm glad it
There we
showed
go.
up now.
Excellent. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so that's why. I mean,
So we're done now, right? We got to that.
let's just watch, because I mean, like we talked, like there's gonna be a parking lot. You see what I do with my SFs.
Yeah. So the other issue is that like you're taking probably a range 1 4-die focus from Sinker on something this turn, and that sort of sucks.
Right. So I'll show you. So I actually before this, so in an effort to not just die. Right. So I have 3 bank. I've taken kind of a Hail Mary with this guy. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna 3 bank here, and I'm gonna barrel roll if I clear it. So let's say in the offhand, this guy like 1 straights,
Did one.
and then like barrel rolls in front of it to just keep everyone here in a big nice line.
Yeah.
That way he can 3 bank here and just roll here, right? And then hopefully,
Well, again, considering that your 3-turn will clip and you won't get the barrel roll, I don't disagree with the idea. Like a Hail Mary here, just to like, hey, I've already not correctly predicted my opponent's dials a few times. While I think that this is probably what he's doing,
Right.
like we didn't expect that barrel roll before. So there's this opportunity where like, let's just see if he just randomly lets me out.
right? It's like I know I'm not clearing like anything. I could have 1 straighted hilariously. Now I have that knowledge. But Okay, so this is where I was like, wait, what's happening? So he chooses to do the Ion guy first, at
So
which
that
point
no
I was
one
like,
gets an action?
wait, what?
Right.
So I could have done
Wow,
the
all
one
right.
straight one bank and super dunked on some V19s, but
Yeah, like he really wanted to go slow
yeah.
for some
And
reason.
and so this was no, actually it was a mistake. He goes, "Oh, whoops."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
like
Oh, and
basically,
especially
like,
that guy next. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this maybe makes sense if he
Exactly.
then
No.
two straights the guy behind him,
Mhm.
but
But
that's just, he just
it's one of
straight up
those
gave
things where,
two
like,
actions away.
like the
Mhm.
funny thing is getting things here if it's on purpose is a really like it worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this guy is leaving, which I still
Yeah.
agree with.
Yeah, the funny thing is now with the knowledge that he would have cleared the one bank, he would have much rather one banked, but
Sure,
yeah.
to just trade shots or whatever.
so I just want to talk about special forces.
But he's the
gunners
guy
so
who
far.
took
So
two, right?
thus far,
Yeah.
my SF gunners have done a net 0 or 1 damage, and I think that was the only front arc shots they're going to take over the course of the game.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what I talked to you a little bit after this match because I've been generally running them without
Man,
the
the
gunner
three
because
turn.
what I feel like is I feel like with the gunner, I feel like I have to try to play them more like a front arc ship
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I've made them the cost of an X-wing, right? And then at that point, I feel like they're not actually very undercosted ships. Like they're
Right.
okay, they're fine, but without the rear arc threat, they're nothing special. But I feel like I have to do it. And then I watched the way that you play it, and I realized you're simultaneously not as bothered by that, and you're just happy to still take rear arc shots even with the gunner.
Yep.
But conversely, after the fact, you feel like you didn't use the gunner very much. So I guess we got to the same.
Yeah, we got to the
conclusion.
same conclusion.
Yeah, I agree, but it's also one of these things that like sometimes you bring upgrades for its flexibility and you realize you didn't use it the
Also-
whole game, but it let your dials be more open the whole game. Like,
Yeah,
So
I
let's
think-
talk about this real quick while it's still on the
Yep.
screen.
Mhm.
I didn't take the world's most obvious block here for no real
Yep.
reason. He should have just barrel rolled, right?
Yeah,
Just
instead
been
of the
there.
focus. Yeah.
And that would have been an unmodded rear arc shot, but whatever, right? It's
Whatever.
already obstructed. I don't
Yeah.
care.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, and so Travis, I think the only reason that, and I agree with that, right? But the thing is, like, there's like a lot of useful other ways you can build an SF.
Oh,
that,
well, so
that does
yeah, I
similar
agree.
things, right?
No,
So-
but see, I agree with the general thing that they're not carrying their weight, and it does have a psychological impact. I'm just saying, in general, for the audience, that sometimes you bring certain things, you don't air quotes use it during the game, but it was like constantly messing with your opponent, so they were just like doing weird, like it's like a paylob effect.
yeah,
I
they
never
think
stole
you're going to
anything.
keep slooping. They don't expect you to turn away and shoot backwards, right?
Like weird things like that. But in this case, I still
So,
agree with the assessment.
So let's note that focus I kept for offense, I had to spend on defense, where I just wouldn't have had to roll dice ever if I
Right.
just blocked him.
So the 3 straight there, or the 2 straight with Kylo,
And-
obviously would have been better.
Yeah,
there,
it would have been better.
retrospectively,
I thought there was a
I'm-
0% chance that he was going to choose to block every single one of his own ships in front of Kylo.
I still think that I mean we play this ship different. I just would have probably two straighted there.
Okay, so
but-
now we have actual like firing decisions to look at.
Well,
right?
sure, and
Yeah.
it's. I just want to point out something, just in the sense that like you made the mistake on the table, you're noting it, but again, it was the most obvious turn from like
Yeah, it wasn't
the
even
thing
a
with
question.
if you're playing against Rick's a really predictable ship. Like so, if he wanted to fire this turn, he was doing the 3 turn. Like, yeah, you missed the block, that sucks. But like again, for everyone else, like this is not a fault of Andrew's. Like that's the ship. He brought the ship. It's going to be predictable. Don't do
that's
weird.
why it's cheap, because it's
not
predictable.
right? Like
So targeting, this is definitely a case. Kylo basically only
so Kylo only has
can
this
shoot
guy.
green. Yeah.
Yep.
So you shoot green first and see what happens with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what happens. That's what's happening right now.
Because then it depends whether the rest of your list tries to kill
Hey, neat.
Pink or whatever. That seems good.
Yep. So now they're at exactly the same amount of health.
And that's probably the most.
Or they're not. So sorry,
complicated-
this front guy's at 2
Yeah, he has
health.
3 and 2. That's probably
But-
the most complicated result.
Yeah,
Because
well, so it's not actually. So one second.
well,
right?
because pink green there doesn't get a shot, so like everyone
Yeah.
should just
so
plow
actually,
with the green.
this guy shoots next, and he
Right,
can't
so-
shoot the
so
other
now
one.
you just shoot green. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
and then you see what happens there, right? Like because if he misses green, or
This
then you,
is what we mean with like the orders matter a lot.
right, so he hit for 2. So now it's
Yeah. So now it's like all right, whatever, nothing matters.
they're like equally likely. Well, now you're like positioning or something, right?
Yeah,
Like,
except the positioning's honestly mostly irrelevant too.
yeah.
Is it the same range from your back arc?
Yeah,
top
they were
guy?
both. I believe they were
so it
both
doesn't
range
matter.
one. So
Yeah.
he's gonna lay into some ships really quick here. We'll see how much damage he does.
Yep.
Again, this is sort of the least interesting part for Chris
Yeah,
because
right,
it just is whatever it is, right?
That's
Like
sinker shot, right? Yeah.
Chris meekly accepts it.
Scorch. Yep. So what's interesting is he's shooting Scorch. So the bailing with the SF did work.
And you're I mean, you don't want Scorch to die. You want him to waste as many shots in the Scorch as possible. But you're happy that he's switching away from the SF,
yeah,
right?
So, and Scorch just ate a crit through shields. But I don't remember what the crit was. Stun pilot. Okay. So, mostly irrelevant.
Yeah, there's no focus there, Andrew. That's all on you, buddy.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah. And then we're going to discover that 3 agility versus 2 attack die ships is a pretty good strategy.
So is he right to be going after Scorch?
I don't think so.
I don't think
he
is. But I
either.
also have the knowledge that this isn't going to work. So
no, of course. But it is the point.
No,
that
but
it's
I think
like the 2 dice with 1 mod against 3 green dice is like a lot less damage.
Yeah, we're asking for a lot here.
Well, not only that, not only is the math not useful, the target's not useful is my argument, which is that SFs pose a greater threat over the course of the game than Scorch does.
Right. Well,
because of the whole positioning game later in the game where he can just keep uptime.
Yeah, so Scorch's uptime, if you're not aware, is really low. So it's really nice to sell him out really hard early in a game and people shoot him because he's scary and he rolls a bunch of dice and he's cheap. But if you just ignore him, he's going to have a really hard time keeping up because he can't he can't red move. He's got a blue. And usually he has to like roll for a shot.
And you just listed all the other reasons why you shouldn't be. He's cheap. Like he's not scoring a lot by killing Scorch, right? Like that's part of the other problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a very large benefit for you for them to waste time killing successfully or not successfully killing Scorch. Like, and especially when they fail to do it, it's more time they have.
Yeah, it might have been an interesting question if they were non-SF gunners, because then Scorch is actually worth more. But like SF gunners, you gotta. I mean, it's both way easier to do damage, and they're more of a threat. So yeah, I think that's just the wrong decision there. But whatever.
Okay. We'll see. So yeah. Again, like not a very like Scorch is lucky to be alive. I was expecting him to die if he was shot at. But also both SFs did no damage again on their shots.
And I mean, just look at this positioning.
We got dire straits here.
So you despite the fact that we agreed that you probably should have engaged differently, I would argue that this is a pretty good result for you in the sense that like he can't really K-turn here. Like there's no set of so he has to kind of just
go first.
He has to go parking lot bump. Yep. And just kind of stay stagnant.
That seems so bad against SF.
Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, but that's one of his options. The other option is he has to do just other maneuvers at clear so that he can then set up a turnaround.
Yeah, next turn here is obviously good for you.
That's what I'm getting at, yeah.
So, well, kind of. So, one, this SF up here is facing the wrong direction, right? So he's going to one straight and like focus or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, try to artillery, probably nothing because that's going to be over here. This guy, because we're using an SF gunner, right? His arc's forward. He can't do what he wants to, which is just go park on the gas cloud, right? As all these things probably K-turn over him. Like he has to try to get arc on things, which is a bit of a problem because they don't have K-turns, right? His sloop is blocked by sinker. It's like here or whatever. Yeah. So he's basically into using his rear arc, and we've brought 20 points of SF gunner that have done literally nothing.
So you could sloop the top guy left behind Rick if you wanted. But
yes.
I don't know that's the right choice, but
right. And again, we're back into SF gunners, really frustrating because
but again, you put because you put your arc that way. So, yeah, right. Okay, sad. So like having to have an action to switch it seems
right.
Tough.
This is why, like, if we're gonna talk, like, let's say these were fanatical,
it's more interesting than a B-wing, right?
So the other argument that I think is sort of relevant is that if you're switching it a lot, then their comparison to RZ2s doesn't look as good either,
I want to make a comment. I haven't been keeping track of turns, but this is like turn 4, right? Yeah. And there's only 40 minutes left because one of the notes I have here to pay attention to is like when are we hitting mid game? Technically, this is mid game, but it feels very early game.
Really the first real trading of shots just happened,
right? And so that's the weird part here, and this is something to be cognizant of against swarms, is that in any other game, I would have still designated this as the early game, but in fact, we've effectively entered the mid game due to time.
Right.
That's okay. Chris was passive aggressively communicating that he didn't appreciate the slow play by writing on that piece of paper.
Well, the funny thing is, like, I don't think he's taking. Well, I don't like at the table. I didn't feel like he was taking it because I know. Well, I'm sure Twitch chat was talking about slow play and stuff. Actually, I remember seeing YouTube chat talk about slow play while I was like, double checking the game to make sure.
I didn't feel like anything was bad in this game. It's just it's one of these ones that's like it's not even the setting dials. It's just like look at all this crap. Like it takes way too long to mark.
So I want to make sure I clarify my statement. I am not actually making an accusation because this is a consequence, like we were talking about, of numbers of ships on the board. I don't think there's anything going on with Nuckols actually slow playing or trying to. I mean, like I think he had difficult decisions because again, I would say that his dials are probably the harder of the two.
Yeah, I agree.
Turns, it's probably
so
reasonable.
he's fitting some K turns here, but like these other two aren't. So he has this weird parking lot. Like he chose to do this. I might have chose just to not, but I mean, he's also cognizant of time, right? Which is like this is a problem for me.
So that's the two. I believe that's the color. Yeah. So this is the move I was very much not expecting. That super dunks
That's a little
on Chris.
weird. Yeah.
And I think I disagree. I don't think it was it worked. I
don't hate it because that's to mitigate the SF flying past everything.
Right.
But I guess you don't get an action to shoot.
Right. Well, and you're probably not going to shoot.
Yeah.
And I don't.
I mean, what is he planning? Is this the one bank with sinker or two bank? I guess. Like, what's his plan here? I guess a two bank. Right?
I hope you did follow up with your one turn Kylo, because.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, what is he gonna like? I don't care about a bunch of stress V19s without sinker rerolls to shoot Kylo. Right? It's fine.
Exactly. So he could turn out with sinker, right?
All right, and that may have been spectators the sloppiest thing that's ever happened, right?
Yeah, I
so
cringed.
I said, hey, he's dead, right? So I'm just gonna do this.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, that's fine. That was the reason for that.
All right, that helps a lot.
Scorch isn't blocked here. This guy's dead. Like, you're gonna kill him. I'm just gonna
two turn
whatever.
Sorry, Cool. So this is where again, just sort of the sinker is like this weird, complicated ship that you have to like. I don't disagree with this move here. I'm just saying like it's complicated. I actually sort of like the two bank better, but I mean I don't know. Like it's all
this. So it's non-trivial without playing sinker first. This is better because next turn he'll be like this. I mean,
I see. No, I get you. That's very useful. And then this is one of the things that you can put pressure on your sinker opponent because they have to do things like this to kind of maximize their uptime. And trust me, if they're not maximizing sinker uptime, they got real problems later.
Yeah. So the only interesting thing about this too, though, is that with the turn out of sinker, it's like the yellow might not die this turn, right? Like.
I mean, he still has 3 shots. Like one's gas cloud destruction, but he has 2 hull and he has a bunch of range 1 and 2 shots into him. And he's got
do they have them backwards? Is he?
They do have them backwards because he has 4 health according to our thing. So they do have them backwards.
No. Wait. Okay. So no, all the damage is wrong because.
Yeah, because Pink hasn't even been shot.
If he has 2 health, then yes,
well, Pink
if he has 4 health, I don't think
he has 3 health. But the TLDR was he's getting shot by sinker, he's getting shot by this guy, he's getting shot by that guy, he's getting shot by this guy. I didn't know he's getting shot by sinker, but Andrew did. That's why I was like, this is gonna be a nightmare bump to do. Do you care if I just kind of slide him up because he's not shooting anything and he's probably.
Well, and to be honest, that's a really nice thing for your swarm opponent to agree to because it is in their favor to get that accurate.
But the other thing is Kylo could initiative kill one.
I would assume Kylo would initiative kill. So one of these 2 health ones, right? So I'm like, I'm just gonna lock this clown, whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of mistakes, there we go. You did clear that. I was going to say, if you bumped there, I was like, speaking of mistakes, you haven't taken any actions to Kylo in a while, but never mind. You good.
All right. So
this is a very angry Kylo shot.
Seems good.
Yeah, whatever.
Like, super angry Kylo shot.
Yep.
So,
like, some slight overkill.
Whatever.
Yep.
No, we'll never know what the new deck would have done.
Did you consider trying to
shoot this guy?
Kill
That's
Pink
what I was going to
instead?
ask.
Or Pink.
Well, this I don't think this is saying this guy's at 2 hull.
I think that guy's undamaged.
Yeah,
right?
so that doesn't seem. Oh, this guy's the one at 2 hull.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, did you consider the range 2 initiative kill there?
No.
I don't know.
It might have been better,
right?
but I would rather.
I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know what that's probably a 50-50, right?
Yeah. So I was very surprised at even bothering measuring to Scorch because it seemed like you just kill this SF.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that.
For a second there.
Oh yeah, he did shoot the SF. Okay, I was like,
and he's out of here.
Yeah, easy. Just plow it in there.
Oh, he's not dead. All right, he's got a structural damage. He's fine.
He's dead now.
The damage is
death sentence.
No, he's good. He's got it.
No, I meant the structural damage.
You gotta believe Johnson. See, wrecked. What a guy.
Wrecked.
Very nice.
Still dead.
You got to get the blanks out of the dice so that for your next roll.
Yes, exactly. I'm just saving them all for Kylo.
Yeah. And what does he have? 2 more shots?
So yeah.
So this guy, so the SF is actually dead now. He just hasn't been removed yet.
Yeah. Because I mean, he doesn't get removed yet.
Yeah,
I've been angry at people trying to pick up ships, so I didn't let him pick it up yet. It's like, no, he's still alive until they all shoot solely for Twitch chat.
Yep. Oh.
Destroyed. Meaningful.
First Order Vanguard.
Yep. And I mean, he's still there because he technically gets to shoot, right? But he doesn't have anyone in arc.
Yeah.
So again, like
And if you were a
Weird, if you
non-gunner,
could shoot at the back.
yeah, if we were a fanatical SF1, he would have shot first.
wow, this is a way better matchup for you than I thought it would be, especially if you brought the SF, the non-gunner
yeah, right. Like it's
versions.
actually not bad.
Because we're sitting here bragging about uptime, and then you're like, look at my special forces gunner. And I was like, oh, no uptime.
Okay, so see, now things have changed
Did
dramatically
you shoot
for the
that
better.
guy just to mill your damage deck again? Is that
No,
what
I killed his V19.
you killed? Okay. There
Yeah,
you go.
so now there's 2 dead V19s.
This feels okay.
Yeah. So I guess the overlay hasn't been updated because
Yeah, there's no way you're only 30 points.
like that should be 50.
Oh, I guess
so,
it's-
so we're technically
Scorch
losing,
battle.
but right, this is an in-game I'm much more comfortable with because
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a comfortable.
like we're
still,
definitely
I'm a little
losing,
nervous
don't get me
because Scorch is at 1 health, so you can't.
Yeah.
yeah, and really unfortunately that SF got exactly half points, right? Like, oh, that
Yeah.
sucks. So like just running with him forever isn't a real option. Like because he could just 3 turn of 8 every turn, right, and tell Rick to go screw himself, and then the V19s will never catch him. So this is the point in the game, I believe. So if I kill Rick,
Okay. Interesting dial decisions here again. Yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about win conditions for a second. I think it was next turn I started double checking my math, but it works out such that if Scorch if Scorch dies and Rick dies, I lose by 1 point.
Sad.
Yeah, which is incredibly actually. Well,
Wow.
yeah, like,
That's impressive.
Super unfortunate. Which means I don't really want to chase Rick around because it's a waste of time. That being said, Kylo can't really like go over here, right? That's just going to be end in sadness for him. So we're on a side quest to go do some damage to Rick.
I mean, maybe you expect the 3K out of the blue guy.
Well, just in general, I mean, right? Like, I don't expect to clear maneuvers much if we do that.
Yeah, no, but I'm just thinking, like, if you expect a 2-turn out of Sinker and like something straight out of the 2-turn, 2 Talon. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Then I guess
so actually,
I'm
before we
gonna really hope
got
that
some
you
issues there.
3-turned with Scorch here to the
So
other
actually,
side of the
all right.
board.
Let's go to before this stuff started moving. So I expected him to start regrouping everything over here because Kylo can't go this way, or probably shouldn't go that way.
Yeah.
And him to, like eventually he'll kill Scorch. He's winning, right? This is kind of my problem. So I expected like a 2 bank and then like a 1 bank or whatever, right, to chill here, and then this guy to just like run into him or whatever.
Yeah.
So
the problem is that's going to take like 3 or 4 turns because of where Sinker is. But...
Right. And that's when I expected the regroup. So actually, I turned this way with Scorch because I didn't think there was any way he was coming around that way with everything.
I see.
Oof. All right.
Which was
And what do you
not
at the
correct.
top? You expect a 3-turn left at a Rick, right?
Probably, yeah.
Right. But so this is a turn where you can potentially capitalize on that.
Right.
With Kylo. Like just 3
Yeah,
bank Kylo.
and I don't
seems
actually
good, right?
remember what happens here. So
3 bank left Kylo seems like the safest.
Yeah.
By the way, this is where I would say we have formally entered a mid game.
Yep.
And there's only
The board
28
state
minutes.
Yeah,
is
because
reduced
like
some.
some number of things are destroyed.
Yeah, people have actually lost some ships.
And this is where
most
most
lists are
games
about halfway
actually this
through
is a little
now.
further than where some games end. So
Yep.
Oh no. But the whole point is in this series we're going to try and more clearly identify early mid game. So like in terms of strategy shifts, if it weren't for the clock, this is a mid game scenario. Like, okay, well I still have some ships, he still has some ships. We're out of position based on that initial
So your
engagement.
thought here
What am I
is
doing?
block the
block the
3-turn and
3-turn.
then Kylo.
And if he
that's
3 banks, what neat, I'm in.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So we lock that guy and rotate forward because I'll probably
You lock
forward.
because you don't
Yeah,
expect shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's interesting here is this is one of those like I 800D chest myself because I didn't think there's any way he would turn everything this way because if Scorch turns right, he'll never catch him. So I was like, okay,
Sure.
he knows that. So I'm going to go left because he
So
should
this
be
is when
playing
he,
around going the other way. It's like, oh, whoops.
You're right. And then at this point Scorch is just dead.
So
right?
this is
Like,
one where I didn't listen to
you
my own
might
advice,
survive
which
this
is
turn, but
just always take the best maneuver.
Yep.
he's not getting out.
I'm still like that's still my own advice is always
Okay, so this
always
is
do
good.
the best maneuver.
Kylo's
and
gonna have
challenge
a
your
pretty
opponent.
meaningful shot here if he 3
Right.
banked.
Yeah, and there was no reason for Kylo to turn right. I mean,
Yeah.
now that I know that he turned this way, there was, but I very much didn't expect him to. But yeah, so now
Right.
Kylo gets to go angrily tell Rick who's the faster ship.
Yeah. So lock boost. I guess you don't even have to boost, but might as
Yeah,
well.
I might as well make it. My thought was I might as well make this range.
Yeah.
2.
And then you can bank next turn too.
Yeah, right. Like whatever.
Yeah, you have
Yeah, it seems
Kylo
fine.
has very little consideration for Rick's feelings.
Yep.
So right, and here's a situation now where it's like if the initiative goes the other way, you're way sadder, right?
Yep.
Like you're happy to chase
Yep. So we
Rick.
stripped some shields, right? Like, unfortunately,
And
we both.
so I know you know that if you kill Rick or whatever, but I mean, like if you can do it fast enough, it's one of those things that let's say you did a little more damage for no reason, kind of thing. Or next turn you get another free shot, so to speak, and you just randomly kill Rick. Like timing wise, that's better. You just don't want to spend the rest of the game chasing down Rick.
All right,
and
let's
not-
see the 5
Yeah,
focuses,
it's like,
Kylo.
all right,
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah, we're fine.
Can you make me
Whatever.
spend a force? Like, if
Yeah.
if I roll 5 eyeballs, he has to make me spend a force. Feels bad, man.
So he could plausibly die here, but he could survive one more.
Yeah, that's probably out of eight. Easy. Right, so now it's a little scarier that he dies, right? Because we're looking at
Yeah.
2 dice with the reroll and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh,
Ooh.
Okay.
Easy.
Good.
Insult.
Whatever.
we got to average on it eventually. It just took a while to get there.
All right, so at this point you're screwed. So I assume you just turn in and
Yeah,
take
exactly,
one last
right.
dying shot.
Oh,
yeah.
so the interesting decisions are over here now, right?
Yeah,
This
because like
is-
if you randomly get 3 hits on a V19, then killing Rick is win,
yeah.
right?
So, but yeah, let's reflect on what Chris should have done. So Scorch should be here, right, with an evade.
Yeah,
have
should've
taken
turned the other
same
direction.
shots here.
Not even there. You would even be farther up the board.
Yeah,
to
you'd be
honest.
further up.
Yeah.
You'd
So
be-
what
you'd
I
be-
2 turned here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would be
Yeah,
even
so it'd be like
further.
here or whatever.
I
But
thi-
somewhere
yeah.
somewhere in this area, right? And then he's
Yeah.
just gonna 5 straight and go chill over here.
Yeah, he is.
And
He's
then
gonna
he
tell
might
Rick
actually
to come get me.
Yeah, exactly. And then these V19s are going to take 10 years to catch up. And that actually, like, so that Scorch maneuver was probably the most impactful decision that was made over the course of the game. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure that's super obvious, right? It was like,
I
that
want
was,
to clarify. That was the most impactful decision that you physically made. Your absence of earlier decisions to cast a wider net severely impacted the game.
oh,
as
yeah.
well.
I just mean, like,
The reason, and that's not to criticize you, it's to point out that people focus on their decisions they made. And again, this is what we talked about in like listener 4.
No,
it's just like,
people focus on the dice that got rolled there. Had he
Right.
just,
Well,
had he just
good
rolled
players-
better, it would have been fine.
right. Good players focus on the decisions they made, but it's harder to see the decisions you didn't make and how the board could have unfurled. Because again, you could have had a 3 wide net or like almost a 4 angled net, right? Where like he couldn't just keep plowing into this different ships by just moving forward.
Right.
So
But we
this-
don't have the board state. So you've been making relatively good decisions up until now with what you had.
yeah. And the Scorch play was, like, objectively bad, I think. Like, it was just actually a bad.
I agree with you.
And I'm using objectively there on purpose. Like, it was actually just a bad decision.
Okay, so here, hold on.
Yeah, yeah. Don't say.
Pause.
We're just letting dials set. Now I'm not
What
pausing.
does Rick do? What do you
Okay.
do if you're Rick here, Chris?
So-
what do you do if you're Rick here?
All right.
Tyler,
So
or
here's
Travis?
my.
I 3 turn around that rock.
Okay. So it's important to note this SF is facing this
Up
direction.
to the right. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm not. Well, all right, we're still setting dials, but yeah. So he's pointed this way, right?
Yep.
So this SF can do things like 1 bank and focus.
Sure. Yep.
But that means that Rick's going to get to roll a billion dice against him, right?
Sure.
So, like, Rick
Okay,
has
so-
some options. Yeah, I want to say, walk me through Rick's options. I'll draw them for you.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, Rick's got to do a 3. We agree on that at some point here.
Yeah, right. Or if he doesn't want to get mega turbo dunked on by Kylo.
Like, there's no reason to not go fast at this point, so he might as well. So he has to go 3 right, 3 left. He could Talon roll or 4 straight or 5 straight.
yeah.
I like the 3 turn right.
So maybe,
Or
but Kylo's
Krayt.
right behind him.
Yeah, but your Kylo's going to be right behind him no matter which
Right.
choice you
Okay.
made.
So, and at this point,
Right.
now that things are moving, right, we're both aware that if Rick dies and Scorch dies, I lose by 1 point because I just did the math. I was like, I only double check points. Okay, is this right? And I yell out to Dio, and hey, is this right? He's like, yeah, you're right. Okay, it's like, all right, we're good. Now everybody knows what's up.
Yep.
Which, if this were not like realistically, I probably shouldn't tell my opponent, hey, if I kill Rick, I still lose by 1. But whatever. So, my thought process is I assume Rick is gonna like 3 turn here, right, and just focus evade.
Yeah,
check his deck.
or boost, right? Because then if Kylo goes straight, he probably doesn't get a shot, right?
Yeah, exactly. So my thought is, all right, so we're gonna take this SF and we're just gonna go try to get behind because I need to start doing damage to these guys to win the game,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
I have to at least have points won.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go get over there while Scorch is.
barrel roll's not bad either.
Yeah, 3 turn boost, 3 turn barrel roll, or I'm even fine with 4 or 5 straight boost or just focus, right?
Right.
Because
Yep.
then Kylo's like he's getting 3 dice. Kylo's not getting more dice
And
than
you-
him, right?
This is regen, Rick. Like, yeah, I
Yeah, just go
super in on
straight,
just, like,
regen,
Yeah.
4 straight boost, regen a shield, take a range 3 with 4 dice
Yeah.
with an
And then
evade,
next turn you're like
whatever.
hiding
So
behind clown.
my thoughts are he's gonna 3-turn right or left, right? And I want him to
Yeah.
3-turn right and go like do nothing in the corner for a while Kylo goes this way and goes and like kills these things, and while this SF gets the hell away from him, right? Because really, so this SF should have 2-turned, which would not be over the rock, right? I just wasn't sure if it was gonna fit or not. Like in height, like after I did, I was like, oh yeah, that was actually close.
Well, and the other thing is that you're slightly more threatening to Rick with the 3 maneuver, right?
Yeah, well, so he has a forward-facing arc, and I don't know. Like, if I have a shot here, I'm not going to take a 2-die rear arc shot into.
No. I mean, but he only gets 2 defense dice if you do a 3, and he does a 3, right?
Right. What I'm saying with the SF isn't going to shoot Rick. He's not there to shoot Rick. Like, I would be shooting these V19s because I don't care if I kill Rick. It's irrelevant.
I get,
Yeah,
I
but
guess
you wouldn't
so.
be shooting. I mean, he means.
But I
for
mean,
the
this
next
turn he's not shooting those V19s.
It depends
right?
on how fast this guy goes. Like, this target lock was barely out of range, so if he 1 straights and I 3-turn, I could probably or 2 like
With a
if
barrel
that
roll?
3-turn fit, yeah,
Okay.
I could probably barrel roll.
I was
and do
assuming this turn or not, but fair enough.
But yeah, my thought was actually I want to shoot him this turn.
And Scorch obviously just 1 turn.
Yeah, right. 1 turn, meekly
whatever.
accept it.
There's not much you can do except
No,
do
and
damage
then
on
when
the
you
way
don't
out.
do 3 damage to the V19, you complain about your dice.
Yeah, sorry, correct. Okay, so yeah, I was like, oh wow, I'm bad. That barely clips this rock. Whoops.
Yeah.
Whatever, no consequences. If I remember right.
I mean, you can't set your arc
And then,
backwards.
all right,
You really
so here
can't.
I do have to insult my opponent.
Okay. What are you dialing here? Hold on, before
Andrew.
Chris even says.
No,
Go ahead.
this is more important. So I hit the
Okay.
rock and I go, can I roll the Chad die? Which is blatantly against the rules. And Andrew
Yes.
says no, no balls.
Correct.
Okay.
That's why I picked it up and moved it.
Yeah.
So all right, yeah. So you're saying what did I dial with Kylo?
Yeah. What would you dial, and what would? I mean, don't tell us what you actually dialed. You first tell me what you would dial, Travis.
With Kylo here,
Yeah.
knowing that whole scenario that I was talking about, 2-turn left, 1 turn left. Oh, he's stressed.
So you
turn.
just completely bail on Rick and then go after other stuff.
I
guess that's
think
probably
I have
true.
to.
I think I would be tempted to still kill Rick so that I could maybe get half points on something.
Well, the
else.
problem is it's 21 minutes left.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, you have a dunking position on Rick right now, right? Like,
yeah, I like the 2 bank in any other world. Like, just I'm not gonna keep the speed up, so I'll just 2 bank.
Yeah. So I think I probably just 3 straight because it's unblockable. If he 3 turns and whatever's
God,
yeah,
Andrew's
sad.
climbing so high on this hill just to be right.
No, it's not. But I mean, the thing is, like, there you go, and then because here's the thing: if he does the 3-turn right or whatever, or if he does a 3 straight or something like that, then you could plausibly kill him this turn with a 3 straight, right?
I don't. Is that all right? Hang on. So let's say he 3 right turns. He's not stressed, right? So let's say 3 right turns. I'm gonna pull up 1 dice calculator. I'm just gonna say I have a target lock and a focus.
Yep.
And he's rolling 3 dice, focus, evade, right?
No, because you did a 3. He's rolling 2 dice.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So the odds of doing 3 or more damage are 10%.
Yeah. If he takes both tokens, I agree.
Yeah. Right. And if I fail to kill Rick and put Kylo in the corner, then I definitely lose the game, right? Because I don't have time to get all the way to the other side of the board and kill some V19s in an arc with 20 minutes left.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, it's the time.
But the thing is, like, Kylo doesn't necessarily need that. Kylo could still kill him next turn.
And actually,
and then-
sorry. So if Rick 3 turns, right, he's absolutely regening, right? So I have to hit him for 4.
Yeah.
to kill him.
No, I mean, the thing is, like, I think for Rick, almost any 3-speed or faster maneuver with regen is fine, right?
Yeah.
Do we agree with
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right? Like, because you want your evade, you want to make sure that if Kylo went slow, you're getting your extra die. And
So I guess before we do Rick's dial, so Chris dials in the 2 bank left, like, okay, if I can score permanent half points on Rick, neat. If but I need to get turned around this way to go kill V19s.
At that point, though, like, I think I agree with Travis. Like, if your goal is to get turned around and do that, I think you should have just 2 or 3 turn boosted this turn.
So I only pick up 45 degrees from that. I don't think that gets you a turn there faster, does it? I'd have to like draw it out on the thing. Oh, wait,
answers that,
Scorch.
no.
What a
maybe
god.
not, but you can stay behind them better.
Yeah.
Like, you can come around the other side of the cloud if you want. But
Yeah. So I think this is not correct.
Right.
I
So
don't think
Rick does a
it's close
Talon
to
roll
correct.
and doesn't regen.
Right.
So I mean, here's the two bank I talked about.
I mostly don't understand the Talon roll.
Yeah.
Especially in that
If I'm
direction.
correct, if my understanding is correct, can't you, if you really wanted to shoot Rick, you could like boost right
Yeah.
barrel.
So that's what I'm saying. This is when the plan changed. It was like, oh, I guess I am in.
Yeah,
I really don't
out.
understand the not regen. And when he did that, like, we can at least agree not regen is objectively wrong here, right?
Yeah.
Because if Kylo down to 3 straight, he's probably dead, right?
Yep.
In that situation, because no evade, no regen, double modded shot from Kylo.
No extra dice. Well, he gets an extra die here, but
here he does, but because Kylo did the 2 bank, right? But it's just, this is where I don't understand that maneuver.
This looks like bailed out.
Yeah, so he rolled 3 evades. I was like, oh, okay.
Accidentally bailed out here.
But yeah, I was like, that was, I mean, but you know, like, I don't know, people, like, I previously did an equally boneheaded move with Scorch.
It's like, fine. I just like I said, the reason I bring it up is because all the like reasonable runaway decisions, I don't understand that one at all.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm just looking at this as someone, so I've noticed that Andrew has taken the most aggressive maneuver in almost every scenario.
Right.
That is the most aggressive maneuver. It doesn't make it correct. It doesn't make it accidentally correct because you got bailed out by dice.
But the other thing is he knew at that point that the SF had gone a 3-speed maneuver as well. At that point, he should have decided to regen instead.
Right.
Because, like, what is the point in his 2-die meaningless shot on the SF that's already at half?
He's not thinking about the math. That's the answer. I don't have a better answer than that. Than
it's just a mistake, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, with ships like Rick, and I mean, we saw it a lot in first edition too with unlimited.
Because here's the
beginning of second edition with regen ships where people just didn't do it when they really should have.
You have a reasonably good roll with Scorch. Say you're just in range of that guy that you target locked with your thing, and you kill Rick in 1. This game could be over that turn.
Let's do a few things. First of all, we don't know if he's last minute switched to R2. This could be his second game with R2 astromech Rick for all we know. Right? Like, it literally is like I haven't adjusted to the switch, because we mentioned there's a ton of variants, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of answers. It's close to it. He's trying to speed through. I mean, he's being polite. It's not like he's being
no, it's fine. So. I don't like the Talon roll in the first place because it's super risky for no reason.
It's aggressive, right? Like, he's playing aggressive.
But for what end? He's not going to kill the guy. He's not going to kill.
I agree. I mean,
all right. Let's pause. So Andrew, I agree with you. He's not going to kill the guy. That's not how people that play X-Wing.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Right, is that I agree, but people. This is why we're trying to do.
So even if he wanted to go after this guy, shouldn't he have turned and boosted around the rock instead of?
No, one second. Let me roll it back. I mean, you can see the emotional response to some things, right? Like, all right, here we go.
Yep.
So, okay, so Kylo does this thing, right? Blah 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 blah. We'll get back to it. We're gonna look at dice be rolled for a second here. To look at we're gonna project what's going on in Andrew's head a little bit here, right? Not to be
I can see that he's looking at the board going, "Oops, I can still get shot here."
But this is actually not the part I was like.
No, but I'm not sure he thought he was going to get shot this turn either.
Right, but what I mean is
I don't think he thought he was getting shot this turn.
That's fine.
Okay. But here's what I mean. So let's watch Andrew. Let's watch. You can tell what's all right. So we have two hits rolled. Pretty unlikely, right?
Sure.
No response.
Right.
We have 2 evades rolled, also unlikely. Oh my god! Right?
So
like
that. Yeah, exactly. Right.
But like that's how people's minds work, right? It's like at that point I was like, oh, I'm going to take 2 damage here. Like, that's unfortunate. After he rolls the 2 hits, I'm like, oh, I'm going to roll 2 evades here. I guess I'm not taking damage this turn. Neat, right? But like,
none of this was a consequence to Chris's plans. He's like, whatever, right?
Right.
All right, and that's not even where I'm going. Where I'm going is like, actually, once like he was expecting that shot to do damage. Like, we know it's very unlikely to do more than even 1, right? It's unlikely to hit, and even if it does, it's not going to hit for more than 1, and it's mostly irrelevant because they already have points. But like, people play the game to like kill ships, not to win on time and everything.
No, I agree, and I play the game that way too. Even if I wanted to go after that ship with Rick or something, right? I still think it's way better to just turn around that asteroid this turn. I don't take the risk of just exploding randomly. Because the other thing is that, like, where's he going from here? Well, he's got to do a blue now.
All right, Andrew, let's move off of this. I think
that's fine.
The reason I say that is, first of all, Andrew's not Nuckols is not here to defend himself. 2, it's objectively a mistake, and mistakes happen.
Yeah,
sure.
It's just objectively incorrect, but that's okay. I mean, like,
right. And the only reason why I bring it up is not because Andrew did it and you say he made a mistake, but because I would say half of the Twitch
Oh,
chat at the time
yeah,
was
if anyone
was
that
saying the
watches
same
in the
thing.
Twitch
Right?
chat is watching, that was a mistake. That is an incorrect move, and if we are going to Nova, please do that move against me.
Right. Also, please run your Scorch into jaws of death.
Well, no, like Andrew Nuckols won a system open, and he still makes mistakes. Part of this post hoc analysis,
Yeah, we all make mistakes. None of this is
it's to
about
point out that even the good players will make mistakes. So also, like if you're playing me, or you're playing Nuckols, or you're playing Duncan Howard, don't be defeatist when you show up to the table. Like I feel bad when stuff like that happens, right? Like we all make mistakes. Even the good players make mistakes. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
well, I have another
I have
example
no problem
for
with
you.
that, but
We got to call out.
I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
I got to call out Andrew Cox here. So we played at GenCon in a first edition game where he had Miranda moving after like a Fairship Rebel list I was playing, and he had a turn where he could just like mega turbo dunk on me, right? Like with an advanced slam dunk. He'd dial in like a 2-bank, and just like super kill like my entire list with bombs. And I looked at it for a while and I didn't see any solution to it. So I didn't even bother trying to play around it, right? I was like, okay, well, my plan is I'm going to hope he doesn't do it. So then he didn't do it, and he's like, why didn't I do that? And I was like, I don't know. I couldn't figure out a solution to it. He's like, oh, I just assumed you had one. Like,
Yeah.
like, nope. Like, those kind of things happen pretty commonly.
No. And like I said, as you said as well, right? And so here he has to do he's just
stay
keeping it stressed, right?
Yep.
At least regen, I assume.
Yeah.
But
So now, like, our side quest to go do a bunch of damage to Rick has kind of failed unexpectedly. It's like, oh, this seems bad.
But I don't disagree with your decision in the sense that, like, if that had worked, you would have bought yourself a lot of time to actually win the game. Right? Because of that.
Then we just have to have points AV19.
Well, you tried to capitalize on the mistake. Also, if you had an SF gunner shooting, you might have done more damage too. Or an SF backshot. So
yeah. Well, he like there I took the shot, but
no, I meant the turn before.
Oh,
like if you were not a gunner ship, then you would have possibly just already had.
So is he mad at rolling the same thing you rolled last turn?
I don't think so.
On the greens, right?
Yeah. My green dice never
deserves it because he's a hero.
He is. He's a hero.
He's not a Zeta Squadron.
That SF doesn't even have a name.
Okay, so this is the point of the game where one of the whoever was commentating with Dion, it might have been Dion, I don't remember, was like, somebody sat down to join commentary and they were like, man, all right, so we're gonna speed through this because there aren't many interesting decisions.
Yeah, this game, wait, can we talk about, like, because of the time limit, this game is functionally over.
Yeah, like I have to kill Rick and half points of V19 and not lose this SF.
Yeah, and SF is in not a great position to not die.
Yep.
Like he might do damage, but your goal is he literally has to not die at this point. So we've entered the end game. This is now an end game due to time.
Yep.
And partially because of ships on the board, but more time than ships on the board.
God, but Rick still feels real bad here, right? Because
I mean, Kylo's gonna come dunk on him again, right?
Well, no, but the other thing is that he wants to 3-turn here, but he can't because he's still stressed from 2 turns ago, not flying over asteroids.
But what
if he was gonna regen, he could have just flown on that.
So the only real decision is right. So my SF can 3-turn this way, or it can 5 straight, right? Which doesn't go.
I mean, you could trust the dice gods and just turn in for the front arc shot to try to half a V19.
But then I lose more points than I pick up because they're both going to shoot. If they were,
I mean, on average, I agree. But the question is, do you feel like you've gotten to a situation where you need a Hail Mary at this point?
So I think the better Hail Mary is to kill Rick and half points of V19 without losing something. So my plan was. I'm going to hope he way overcommits with these V19s and like 3 straights both of them because it's blue.
And then you shoot them in the back.
Because he's been consistently pretty aggressive, right? Like, I don't know if that's rationally the best decision. That's what's going through my mind. And if I 5 straight here, I can, he'll be here. Then he's got to like Talon roll and I can just like leave, right? And come back up around this way. While Kylo, does whatever that wrecks Rick the hardest.
Yeah. He kills Rick this turn and then kills a V19 next turn.
Right. And I don't need to kill the V19. I just have to half points. Like, it's not a good plan, but it's the only plan I have left.
Well, you're adapting to the board, right? You're just like, what gets me out here? And this time he did go slow rather than the more aggressive maneuver.
Right. So, what I thought while we watched this happen, what I thought was interesting was the commentator sits down and I think Dion says, "Yeah, this game's been really weird. It's been a variance fest. So Rick should be dead and that SF should be dead." It was like, actually, I don't know that either of those statements is.
I'm pretty sure neither of those statements are even remotely correct.
But it sure felt that way to the people watching, like apparently to Twitch chat and everything.
What's funny is I guess because we run calculator scenarios more often, it does not remotely feel that way to me as an observer watching.
Right. Well, especially so the SF I think was probably just a because it was like Rick should be dead because that had just happened when they sat down. And they're like, and the SF should probably be dead too. So the SF got shot 3 in that opening salvo at range 3, right? His damage taken is extremely average.
Right.
Rick's is actually, so while we watch this happen, so Rick ate what? A range 1 shot from Kylo. What other real shots has he eaten?
Basically not, is the point.
Right, so he ate that shot, but he was hurt. He was hit for what, like 1 before that? Because he had no shields.
Yeah, he had 1 damage or something.
He had 1 damage before then, so he ate. Yeah.
Right. And it might be at this point.
He had 2. He was shields down.
Yeah, he shields down and took a hole. Right. I don't remember what hit him, but I think it was like another 1-shot scenario.
Yeah,
right. So at this point, like, oh, this is unfortunate. Like, I'm not gonna hit Rick with my target lock focus shot. But again, like, we have to kill him, right? It's not like I have time to plink him for 1 every turn. He actually has to just die.
No, I think it's pretty long shot for you to win at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the game was over a few turns ago. So
what
I mean that is, you are correct at this point to go for as crazy maneuvers as necessary. And if you're Nuckols or the opponent of Chris, you should recognize Chris is going to go for home runs from now on.
Right.
If you present them to him, like, you might not be presented with a home run from here on out, right? Like, your home run was already kind of missed, and like, Rick should not even.
We already went for the home run. The home run was the range 1 shot into 3 holes.
I'm saying, like,
right?
Rick should not even be present to die. Like, I would just leave, right? So I'm just saying, like, do not present your opponent with the ability to home run.
And
right?
by that, you mean, like,
the other
don't
thing
focus
is,
here, just boost, right? Just get out.
Right.
Yeah, and regen again, right?
Yeah.
You don't need Rick shooting things at this point.
Rick does not need to kill the SF.
Oh, so he did regen. The overlay is just not updated.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, and he's not throwing the disarms
Good point
down.
then,
Yeah, right, but
which is not a big deal, right?
right, like, yeah, it's like the second to last thing that happens before.
Literally for the Twitch chat, not for the player.
So Rick, like, I don't know, basically 3 banking, right? 5 straighting here is pretty safe. A lot of different options. But I guess it's pretty safe. I mean, it's not that dangerous for him to follow the SF either.
Right. It's a little dangerous. Like, it's one of the very few ways I think you could lose the game, but I don't think it's like a mistake to chase the SF.
Yeah, like,
right?
he's not going to die to that, but he could get
So we can basically say this game did sort of conclude, I would say, already back at like the 15 or 20 minute mark.
Sure.
Really closer to the 25 when you realize that, like, you're going to lose by 1 point even if you kill Rick, but then he gave you an opportunity to kill Rick way earlier than you thought you could.
Right.
Yeah, the main thing is he didn't have to let you back into that game.
Exactly.
That was his choice.
The game was actually kind of locked up closer to the 25-minute mark, but he gave, with his mistake and your ability to capitalize on it, he gave you the opportunity to come back in. It didn't work out, but that's a dice thing, not a decision-making thing. Like, I think you were 100% correct to go in and, like, hey, if I just slam Rick right now,
so yeah,
I have like 20 minutes to go kill some, torrents, and I can do that, right? I have the opportunity.
And if we go even further back a step, so let's say Scorch turns the other way. Now the entire points game for everything's different. Now Rick's going to have to go try to kill Scorch. Kylo's going to bully Rick while that happens. If Kylo manages to kill Rick while Scorch is still alive, then suddenly we're in this exact same game, except it's Kylo and SF and Scorch against 2 V19s and Sinker, and I know where I'm putting my money.
I think this was kind of another maneuver that I didn't expect or like, but it didn't matter because it was the end of the game. Doesn't he boost here? No, the 3 turns fine, but doesn't he boost towards the rock here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't feel necessary.
He's
just taking the easy shot next turn.
Yeah, I don't know.
Knuckles,
but you can just do the next turn with an easy bank in, right? But whatever.
Oh, your barrel roll does it? Oh god.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at him circling. Go, oh, the shot on Sinker does no. I was like, yeah, what is he gonna do? Chase Rick?
Yeah, like, nope. It's V19 hunting time. Sorry, Sinker, you have too much health.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's like. Dion correctly circled the amount of health and goes, Chris also knows how much health Sinker has. Chris agrees.
Right, and boost for another 2 die versus.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's and I think SFs are weird because I don't know that Andrew.
I think they're used to moving faster than most.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right.
He's not thinking about it each time. Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's no way this SF's going to keep going faster than me every turn.
Right, but strangely, he knows this when he's deciding on his actions.
But I don't think, like, even setting all these dials, we're not rationally picking it. Like, a lot of it is trained or whatever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I should have shown Sinker the dark side. That's my ultimate mistake.
Okay, sure.
That sealed it for you.
Easy.
Only as many as necessary, Chris.
Yep. To each according to their needs, I believe is the technical term.
I mean, is it only range 2 to Rick? Or what's his face?
Yeah, it's Sinker. It's
Oh
range 2.
no, Chris.
Oh, how dare he hit me? It's outrageous. I didn't even get to spend my focus. I should have evaded. I chose incorrectly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I got to correct Andrew's decision to focus for evade for defense recently. It felt real good. Wrecked, Andrew. I was right by
which one?
0.01.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
So, Chris, all you have to do is not lose an SF, still kill Rick and a torrent. That's all.
In 2 minutes and 25 seconds.
Neat.
So at this point, my strategy's changed. I just want to see if I can
All right,
kill a
so
V19.
this is another thing. So I think Nuckols has made, we talked about it. So another thing that I think Nuckols is doing in his penchant for tunnel visioning, he's still letting you in this game.
Well,
I know that what I'm saying is there's no reason for Rick to even be here. There's no reason. Like, all of these things are technically.
If Rick is gone, it's actually impossible for you to win, right?
Yeah. So at this point, assuming there's only one more
I'm just
round
saying,
of
like,
combat,
this is a scenario where be careful when you're up. Don't feel too confident.
Yeah.
In the sense that
if there were 10
I'm
minutes here, I'd be pretty comfortable in my ability to win the game, for example.
Right. And we don't know if he would have changed things. He might be like, whatever.
No, but hold on. The thing is, like, Rick has regen back past half. So if he disappears, it doesn't matter. You can't.
Well, you
have to kill 2 V19s, right?
In the previous turn, yes. In this turn, even if he dies, I'm only gonna have one shot, right?
Yep.
I can't. There isn't a ship I can shoot to score enough points to win the game.
Right. But I just meant in general. Even the whole Rick chasing this SF is unnecessary, right? Like, if Rick had just disappeared in the opposite direction, you actually can't win, right?
I'm just trying to focus on he's in a winning position, and we're focusing on the mistakes by this is a case where your aggression can backfire, because there are times when you're in the lead to maintain aggression.
Yep.
Oh, I think this game block's wrong. It might be wrong. I don't know.
Okay. But the point, I just meant, like, I just want to focus this for, we'll find other videos that
look at this.
To illustrate certain things.
That
there are times when you have the lead to maintain aggression, and there are times not to, and this was a time not to.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter, because it's not like he's throwing a reasonable chance to win to Chris at the end here. Like I said, I think the one point where he gave Chris an actual reasonable chance to win that he shouldn't have was that Talon roll. Right. Here at the end, it's like, I mean, you're giving him a 1 in 50 chance to win.
All right,
instead
actually,
of 0,
so let's roll back here. This. Mm-hmm. So we know this is irrelevant, but I want to hit again, and I'm not like. I don't want to be like, I can't believe Nuckols made these decisions, but
but again, a 3-turn right from your guy.
So let's say, like, all right. Yeah. So my SF, we know he's gonna 1 bank, right? So I would expect Rick to just leave, right?
Yeah,
because he's not gonna shoot him. Because what my SF could have done is
3-turn right. I know.
Barrel 3-turn left, barrel roll, block that. Kylo, like, 4 straights or whatever, and barrel rolls again, like, gets a real shot and just like giving away points.
And as a matter of fact, I'm surprised you even 1 banked. I literally would have 3-turned.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing
I was expecting him to not be willing to risk that. So I was expecting like a 3 bank here.
You massively misgauge your opponent's risk threshold despite all the evidence.
It doesn't matter. It's just that, like, the maneuver he dialed in with Rick would have been an unavoidable range 1 rear arc shot if you had a 3-turn left, which I would consider the most obvious maneuver, right?
Yeah, that's why, like, I don't know. I was very confused by a lot, like. Yeah. Like you said, I massively misjudged.
I mean, it works, right?
So, Nuckols' like risk tolerance is much higher than I ever expected.
Yeah. He is far more willing to bear risk based on
what was your crit? Was it something like?
It's something meaningless. I don't remember. Okay. Stun pilot. No, the other one's a stun pilot.
Who cares?
Oh, it's a structural or damaged engine or something. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe that's why I didn't do the turn. It's a damaged engine. So it was actually
okay. That does change things then. If it was damaged engine, that matters a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, this game is wrapped up. Time's going to happen. You're not going to kill enough points. He might kill more points. MOB doesn't matter because it's a system open, or it's not. It's the equivalent of one. No, it doesn't. It's all X1s.
You can get buys based on if you're
not
undefeated.
buys. It's also prizes. So MOB matters for prizes, but not tournament results for the most part.
Here you go. Easy. That's definitely, if you blur your eyes, that's range 1 rear arc for the SF.
Yep.
Oh no, he's got an evade. Sad. My whole plan doesn't work unless he forgets.
And then I believe I said something along the lines, all right, I'm not willing to just give you half points on Kylo in an attempt for half points on that same V19. We're going to shoot this one instead, or to kill that V19.
Yep. Kylo had to maintain his honor here.
Yep, and this is going to be totally fine. Check it out. All right, we're not.
Neat.
Oh, it's a structural damage, not a damaged engine. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, the 3-turn actually would have
Then
been.
the 3-turn would have been
Well, the
amazing.
V19 still would have killed him,
But
but
neither player's focused.
Through a rock,
hyper-focused on
maybe
correct
not. I don't
maneuvers.
know. Hard to say.
all right. And then Kylo.
Unless Kylo killed him first, actually. Yeah.
Yes. And then I was cheering because I got half points. Neat.
There you go.
Which is very likely, I promise.
All right. So, I mean, I think this was a good game to review, especially because not to pick on any player, but having mistakes happen is actually very useful to learn from. So,
no, and I think it was good. And to be honest, like as well, I think Chris made the bulk of the mistakes in the initial engagement, and that's what ended up mattering more.
Yeah.
It's just that like there were a few points in which I don't think that he had to let Chris back into the game, but
right. Well, I like that. I'm almost happy that he did, not because I'm cheering against Nuckols, but because it gave us a good illustration when reviewing the game of like, hey, be careful when you're up, not to allow this sort of thing to happen.
Right. And I mean, we've all won and lost a bunch of games doing exactly that, right? Like, oh, hey, my opponent's giving me a chance here because it's, they stop paying attention because they're so far ahead. Like, oh, what do you know? Especially against like in-game monsters like Kylo, you can't really ever get lazy.
So yeah, anyone have any closing thoughts? I think I've already said all my pieces on that. That's how the game went. Sorry, Chris. Still a very good game to watch, I thought. So thanks.
I'm still angry I lost.
Okay, sure.
No, but I mean, a little bit of follow up is I think you're on team not SF Gunner now. But...
Oh yeah, so that's the final discussion I wanted to have. Yeah, absolutely. So let me pull up some quick point comparisons. So in that game we saw SF Gunner do a total of 0 damage.
Maybe
that
one
being said,
turn, right?
yeah, maybe one. So it did half a damage because that die. No, 1 in 3. It was a 1 in 3 chance. The one hit was that die, so it did 33% of it damage.
No, it was the blank one. Was the SF Gunner one?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah. So this is why you roll the Chad die whenever you add a die to effect, so you always know. You know which die was it. But no, in all seriousness, like over the course of that game, SF Gunner probably should have done about 2 damage, but that's a 20-point investment into it.
Yeah, and especially the way that you were flying, where you were intentionally just chase meing them.
Right, exactly. So that's why. So one in optics, SF is 36 points, and does a little bit less damage out of the front arc. But as you saw, you use the rear arc way more when you happen to be moving after something, which is a non-trivial amount of the time.
In that regard, it's far more like you're playing a resistance A-wing. Like, it's not exactly comparable, right? But the point being is, from a mindset of how you're going to strategically move that piece around the board, it's far more like an A-wing at that point, and we know how high the uptime is with A-wings. Except that A-wing will more likely go slow, or your SF can actually like artillery slowly away kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's an interesting comparison that other people have made to basically say like are gunnerless SFs basically just worse A-wings, and I think it's fair to argue that maybe they are, but I can't take.
Actually, I would argue that they're better.
So the only reason why I put them, I like their stat line better. I prefer not having to pick my arc in advance, especially for generics, and I prefer 2-3-3.
Aren't they just slightly worse Lulos?
They don't. When Lulo's better.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. The SF is slightly worse. The Gunner SF are slightly worse Lulos.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if you're looking for some, they're sort of like A-wings because they do have the 3 die out the front, which Lulo gets, but they don't get it out the back. But
I think they're like a lot worse Lulos, but yes,
fine.
Yes.
But yeah, like the main strength of them, like you were saying,
is
that you don't have to pick your arc ahead of time. You don't ever have to rotate it. Like we saw multiple times where the SFs wanted to sloop to actually contribute, but they couldn't because
And the thing is, so the A-wings, they're going to spend some, like they get an extra action each turn, right, which is fine, but they're going to spend some of those actions on switching their arc, which the SF doesn't have to do. So the main thing that you end up arguing is that if you agree that 2-3-3 is a better stat line than 3-2-2 in general,
you're saying 3 agility, 2 hold, 2 shields, not attack.
Yeah. But then A-wings have boost, and boost is really good.
Boost is really good, but there's something to be said that when you have the rear arc, going slower is better.
Yeah, but it's not about the fast. It's about moving your rear arc.
I mean, part of this is also a difference of like what you bring. Like the SFs, I think, complement Kylo better than A-wings might. Because again, part of what you're trying to do is Kylo's a fantastic in-game piece. Those SFs just kind of taking hits, taking blows, slowly dying, being able to have uptime where they hop out so that you can exchange them, swap them in and out so that they're chasing this sort of like they fill a void closer to what torrents do for Jedi.
Yep.
Because they eat shots and run away, and they can keep, and unlike a torrent, keep the uptime while they're doing it. So I just feel like, yeah, I think you could use better points in SF Gunner. Not that the SF Gunner SFs aren't good. I just think there's probably a better use for your points in First Order.
Right. Like they compare really favorably to something like a B-Wing, a generic B-Wing, but it turns out when you can just run them with optics and be even better, right? Like I'm in. There is a discussion I actually wanted to ask you, Andrew. So it's 2 points to go from I2 to I3, which wouldn't be worth it. Or actually, we'll start off. So it's 7 points to become Backdraft, who has Special Forces Gunner just backwards, right? So he has always has a 3-die back arc and a 2-die front arc, and it never has to rotate, right?
And
that
I'm
seems
of
like
the
an
weird
auto
school
purchase,
that
right?
I think having the 3 dice back is almost as good as
No, I
having
think
the
it's
3 dice front.
I think it's better than having
Maybe
three
even
dice
better,
front.
but some
I think it's
people,
better.
some people are like, well, but the problem is that if I turn away, they can just turn away from me, and then we're run,
Yeah,
whatever.
but I mean, while that's technically true, you just said at board states where that's not a smart move.
Right.
Like,
Games of X-Wings aren't the Last Jedi, like trench run chases, right? Like that's not how X-Wing works.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think Backdraft is like very aggressively priced for what he is,
Right, yeah.
and you go to 4 with him as well, right?
Right. So like a fanatical Backdraft is 1 point cheaper than the Zeta Squadron Survivor with Gunner. That's an obvious buy, right? If you're playing a Zeta, just grab Backdraft. Not even a question.
I agree.
You don't even have to bring fanatical, but man, does it make him way better. I actually am not as sold as fanatical on the I3 ones.
I think my biggest issue is I don't want to pay 4 points total for those two.
So the question is, because you're like, but Andrew, fanatical only costs 2 points. Like, well, no, because you have to buy an Omega, and then you have to pay 2 more points for fanatical. It's interesting listening to D. He's like, oh, I'm just going to bring Crackshot. It's like, well, the right answer maybe just be you bring a Zeta Squadron Survivor with optics, right? You don't need to be I3.
Right.
It might be fine to take it still, but Backdraft, you don't have to pay anymore. You're actually paying 2 points for fanatical, so it's not a hard choice.
And so optics is an interesting upgrade. I like it because it makes your attack on 2 dice very reliable and quite good, but the trade-off is that you want it on ships that otherwise might get ignored, right? Because it makes those ships really do damage when they're getting ignored, but if they're actually taking fire, then like the trade-off is that you can't have both, right? Either you're being defensive or offensive.
It's one of the old 5 A-wing scenarios where at that point I just want to bring optics on nearly everyone, so that way I always you always have one ship that's down, but all the other ones are always up. It's sort of like, it's hard if you only bring a single or a low number of copies. It's very easy for your opponent to play into shutting it off. But if you bring a lot of copies, one of them is shut off, but the rest of them really aren't, and that's fine.
The only issue being is like that does get expensive with the 4 points for optics. I think it's
it's a play game of where you want to spend your points. It's just one of those arguments where the more you bring of it, you're just maximizing its usage at that point because they can't whack-a-mole everyone.
It's dramatically better at the start of the game, and the higher your ship count is.
Yeah. And then I think the Epsilon to Zeta is like an interesting question too, but I do put a lot of value in that rear arc and that other stat line. So
yeah.
Okay. Any other closing thoughts? We should wrap this up.
Nope. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for taking a watch. Genuinely speaking, this is not normally a Krayt thing. We actually would welcome your feedback. We would like to do more of these videos. So if there's questions that came up that you were asking to yourself while watching that we didn't answer, we would actually like that feedback. We'd like to make these a little bit better. We'll work on the editing and video so that there's less of the overlap, but whatever. That's a minor thing.
My question is, so like I'm sure we could have asked Andrew and he would have come and joined us. We are already having a scheduling nightmare, so we didn't this time around.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's probably more useful to have one of the two players instead of both because it leaves the uncertainty of what's going on in the other person's head. I
prefer only one at a time.
Okay.
I think that's what we're going to stick to also because scheduling is a nightmare. Second, this video went longer than I thought it would, and it went longer than I thought it would with one person talking on their end. And I don't want to have the danger of someone getting really defensive. Like Nuckols might rather should be defensive. And to be honest, I don't want to have the debate. I wanted to focus on your things, and then you didn't have the information, so you're reacting to it.
Right.
So, and we don't necessarily need to have this in the video that we give.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, and to be clear, I think both you guys played decently well, other than the odd mistake. I think the overall thing is just that initial engagement, ended up sealing it. And it's not that dice couldn't have made it go another way; they always can.
Right. It's like, so my takeaway from the game was that neither of us played well enough better enough than the other for there to be like this person deserved to win the
Obviously,
game. Right?
For sure.
Right. Which gets us. I'm going to keep this actually because it gets us back into that thing where at least people talk about like, oh, dice don't decide games. Well, okay, so yes, I agree. Dice probably decided that game in terms of like it could have wildly swung based on that initial engagement, especially since most things were actionless. But we never should have been there in the first place, right? Like on both of our counts.
Right.
And dice didn't. So one of the things, dice didn't take it away, right? I don't think dice spiked in either faction.
No, it didn't feel like things went crazy or anything in either way, despite the comment that you made about the Gold Squadron thing. But.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, people. That's another thing where we talk about feeling math. People feel things, but like to be pretty blunt, like that looked pretty on par in most, like across the game.
Right. It's like the only variance that I can recall is like Scorch probably should have been dead after some random shot on him. Right. There were a lot of gas clouds involved after the initial trade of shots.
Yeah, there were.
But like a V19, there's probably a couple extra health on V19s than there should have been at the beginning of the game, like air quotes.
Yeah, like the double range ones probably should have done more.
Yeah. And then their air quotes probably should have been more damage to Rick, and like there should have been more damage to Scorch, but like not by so much that at any point in the game was I like, man, this is stupid, right? Like it's just I did 2 less damage than I expected to ish.
And to be clear, like having a few damage swing one way or another randomly to force you to adapt while you're playing X-Wing, I think is a feature.
Yeah, that's like the point of dice.
That avoids the games just becoming.
I don't even think we'll have to look for it as we pull more videos. There's just going to be games where like, oh, that variance went out of what I expected, and here's what I'm doing to adapt to it. And we'll have videos. I don't think I'll pull one at some point if it hasn't come up, but I suspect just by the nature of us pulling more videos, that will come up, and that's part of the game. That's a feature of the game of like adapting to variance on the table. And if you brought an Alpha Strike list and missed, I mean,
wrecked.
That's,
you brought an Alpha Strike list.
I've been there. Turns out if the Alpha Strike doesn't work, you lose, and you figure that out in the first 3 turns of the game usually.
But you're still stuck there. Pro tip.
You're still stuck there for the next 55 minutes. All right. Well, that's it for me. So thanks for listening.
See you guys.